We are red.
10 minutes ago and I have a response.
All right, we'll open this meeting of December 6, 2012. Let the record show that all selectmen are present. And we're gonna jump around the agenda just a little bit. And we'll take town administrator's report first.
Okay, the first thing is, and I just got this message this afternoon, Mark Pumper called me, and the meeting for Tuesday has been canceled.
Seriously.
Yeah, the mediator is seriously ill,
Oh. More workshop time. Yay.
so,
Not yay that he's ill,
but
but.
he said that the other attorney was still going to try and see if he could find a mediator. So I emailed Mark back and I said, well, you gotta let me know right away.
ASAP.
So is it a possibility it's still on?
There's a slim possibility it's still on.
But
He
I mean,
doesn't think that it's possible to get a mediator at that short notice.
And get them up and.
Tell him I'll do it.
Right?
yeah, we'll
So
mediate.
that's important. The other important thing is with the Ernie's demolition, I am bound and determined that you're gonna see a shovel before December 31st. You will see dirt, you will see something removed.
You promised me, Joyce.
I know, so this is where
I'm
we
still
stand.
waiting patiently.
You know, if we sneak up there and cut that little tree on the side down, it's
I
all over.
looked at that today, so this is where we
I
are.
wouldn't stand next to
Is
it.
that why you
No.
wanted my chainsaw? Oh.
No, but I mean, it's like ready to go.
Yeah,
I think I emailed you earlier.
yes, you did.
And Catherine, I only have this many, I'll make sure you have it for your minutes. I don't even think I have one for myself.
I was gonna say, I may have the copy, I may have copied that.
Well, I made some notes on mine. It's color coded. First of all, I went through that entire list that you gave me, Catherine, of the
Yep.
33 people. And called them all. Not everybody called me back. I left messages. The ones that did call me back, I made notes. One listener reviewed them over the phone. And based on that, and then our local people, the local people are in blue, and the non-local people are in yellow. When I spoke with Rick today to see where we're at, because I've got people that are definitely interested, both local and, throughout the state that have experience doing this type of work. And he said that they're just finishing up the SQUAP, that's the site assessment, site-specific quality assurance plan that has to be submitted to EPA and DES. He said they were just finishing it up and will be sending it out. I just checked my email and I haven't received a copy yet, so hopefully by the end of business day today that will go out. Rick Vandenberg has already been down to the Division of Cultural and Historical Resources and completed the application for that historic review as much as he can, and he's supposed to be sending to me before the end of business day the pieces that I need to fill in.
Okay.
The way this works, and I had to call into Kathy Castagna to confirm it, but what Rick said is that the town's, the way it works is that the town has a contract with Pruderi Associates to do this project. Normally, they would do the subs for the asbestos and the demolition. And that, I mean, we would pay for that, but they would be in charge of that. What this board decided to do would be to, which I think is great, to open it up to local contractors. Now, if you look in the blue, there are no local contractors that have their own asbestos person. But, and also, they do have to comply with all the Davis-Bacon wage rates, have to certify their payrolls and what have you. Rick said that he would be more than happy to help if the low qualified bidder is a local person. He'd be more than happy to help them, walk them through the whole process of all the documentation that they have to have. He also suggested that if they don't have an asbestos abatement contractor that they normally work with, that he could help them get one.
That costs us more money ultimately than letting Kaderi hire a guy.
we won't know until the,
That's
until
what's
bids
good.
come out. Cause there was one individual that had said they wouldn't charge anything.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, as you'll see, we do have some definite local interest.
Good.
So anyways, it's not such a tight time frame. What we'd like to do is if you could go through this list, I've highlighted who I would like to send the scope of work to and invite to a meeting. The meeting's going to be, Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
Next Tuesday at 10?
The 11th?
Yep.
Won't get any
Site
sleep in there.
assessment. Well, no, because your other things get canceled.
Well, you said,
Well,
Well, either way, oh, that's the other thing I wanna make clear, is that the contract, the actual contract is with Crederi, it's not with the town.
Right,
Because Crederi is the one that is been approved by EPA and DES.
So we don't have to be there because it's with Crederi.
Right,
well,
because they're the
except they're
ones.
serving our interests.
right.
Right, but they're the ones that are ultimately responsible for the project, so if
Right.
anything goes wrong,
Right.
it's Crederi.
Right, but we don't want anything to go wrong,
Of course not.
and
So what he
we've
asked.
partnered with them, so.
Right. So it's not like you have to interview anybody or
No.
anything
No,
like
we're
that,
just
so we just wanna
background
make
people.
sure that you have everybody that you want to get the proposal, receive the proposal. And what I'll do is if you approve both the yellow and the blue, before I leave tonight, I do an email to all of them telling them, we're gonna meet outside at 10 o'clock. The proposal's gonna be due the following Tuesday, and then as soon as I receive the services, scope of work, and what the actual contract will look like between them and Crederi, I'll email it to them. At least it gives them on notice to be ready for next Tuesday and the following.
Why did you eliminate the back page, and there's one person at the bottom of the second page, they're not highlighted?
Let's see.
Location?
No, let me
Or-
see.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mine was just pencil.
oh, that's one?
No,
Which one?
yours is highlighted
Oh,
different than mine.
the last two on page 4
Yeah,
did not return my call.
no. You said the highlighted one, so the blue and the white, go back to the blue page,
Oh, the blue page.
okay?
This
Now,
one.
at the bottom of the blue page, there's one that's not highlighted. Right? And then if you turn that page to the next page, none of those are highlighted.
Because those are the ones she's recommending, she said.
Right, these are all firms that I have spoken with,
I thought you were gonna send letters out to just the highlighted ones.
That's what she just
that's what I
said.
said.
So
The
my
yellow
question
ones
is why,
Oh, were
and I'm
these
just
others?
curious.
Oh, what my criteria was?
Yeah,
If it was someone that just took the message and said, yeah, you know, yeah, we're interested. They didn't ask any questions about the project. When I mentioned that, you know, if you'd like, would you like more information? No, just send it to us. I said, well, it's all on our website. You wanna know the size of the building, you wanna familiarize yourself with the project. Whereas all the ones that are highlighted are ones that,
Showed an interest.
showed an interest. They gave me all kinds of information.
good. That's good criteria.
Yeah.
They don't need
They
any
knew what
apathetic
they were,
attitudes.
they knew what they were talking about,
Excellent,
whereas the other ones were just,
whatever.
They could care less if they got it or not.
well, it was, oh, yeah, send it.
I think you've done a marvelous job. I'm fine with the highlighted ones.
I am too.
Yep, you
Yeah,
did.
I think that's great,
So I motion that we go with the highlighted ones.
and I
right,
second
and
that.
and that includes these blue highlighted ones.
Right, yellow and blues.
Any more discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion?
9.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
God, that must have taken a long time.
And the,
Tedious.
yeah, I enjoyed it. The other thing too is that I said, oh, great, so if they're due back on the 18th, how soon are they gonna start work? Monday the 24th.
The day of your We're
But I
taskmasters.
talked with Tim, I'm
I
going
wanted
to.
to get them last year, so they can't
No, I'm
start
gonna work
soon.
it out. He said
I wanted them done 3 years ago.
And we're in town, we're not going
Well,
anywhere.
that goes without
Right.
saying.
They'll probably
And I
just
can come
multiply.
in and,
First came up.
finish up the payroll on Monday. Because the TV works, that's all.
We have to figure out, we had a discussion earlier to that effect, and we have to figure out whether the bank's open on that Monday.
Right,
and he was gonna check with the banks. 'Cause you can't do the payroll unless the bank's open, so that would cause a problem. We would have to back it up to Friday, 'cause then you'd have to do the payroll on Friday rather than on Monday. And then catch up after the, the Wednesday, when the banks are open,
Yep.
with anything that came in on Saturday or Sunday.
And then just do another payroll.
Right.
Do another month, yeah.
Right.
That will work.
I mean, if, you can't do the payroll unless the bank is open. And if the bank is open on Monday, that's fine, but we're off.
I just have this
Uh,
copy, I
Tim,
made a copy, so I
We
just
were
showed both
both
sides.
offered to come in, but they, if you can't, there's no sense coming in if the bank's not open.
I think they might close early.
I know our bank is closed, so there's already a notice up there,
Who's your bank?
the credit union.
Did you have an opportunity to review
Yes.
the letter?
Excellent
Oh,
letter.
outstanding,
Awesome.
Joyce.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
I tried to.
Awesome.
You did an awesome job.
Yeah, we just
That was
wanna
the
go,
most-
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
That was the most polite way I've ever read.
Go ahead, say it. I was waiting for you to say that.
No, you're on camera.
That was excellent, so
You did an excellent
I
job.
motion we sign that.
Oh,
Second.
that, yeah, absolutely.
Any more discussion? Has everybody read the letter?
Mm-hmm.
Joe,
Not
you
the
read?
newest version, but I will prior to signing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is an awesome letter.
I just wanted to make sure that for the record, because not everybody reads minutes.
Yep.
And not everybody watches the video, but
Right.
at least it just.
Yes, it does. You did an excellent job. A very polite
Did you
letter.
second my motion?
Yes, I did.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Oops, this goes with it.
All right,
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? One abstention.
Abstention.
And the next thing is, did any of you talk with Howard Homewood?
Howard Homewood.
Craig Howard
Mm-mm.
No.
For the camping? Then I'm obviously losing my mind because he said that I spoke to him about it, and he was calling, waiting for the specs
About what?
for doing the canopy.
That means.
I said, I think this is some marketing tool
Mhm.
that
Howard Homewood Park.
heard
Isn't there
Cro-
Howard
winds in the
Insulation?
background
Yeah,
for
yeah,
this,
well,
and he
maybe it's a
called me and
division
said,
of the state place, I
seriously,
don't know.
don't but I'll send it.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give you an update on that. I'm keeping it real simple, and I'm telling everybody exactly the same thing.
Yep.
That the Tilton Selectmen request a design and construction cost estimate for construction of a canopy / overhang at the School Street entrance of the Tilton Town Hall to protect the public from falling snow and or ice. Please provide a quotation for both options. Canopy overhang over the entrance door only, and 2, canopy overhang over the entrance door and the entire length of the ramp. The design must be architecturally consistent with the building and meet snow load construction standards. Provide a sketch, dimensions, how the structure will be supported, the materials to be used, and the cost. Include information or any other design cost consideration, or information on other design cost considerations, such as the ability to remove the supports, to maintain or repair the sidewalk, and the ability to install removable clear-sided panels on the structure. The project needs to be completed ASAP, so please include a work schedule. For further information, contact me. And then this went out to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now 10, that I haven't read.
You wanna see that?
Local contractors, and, so far, only one has come by. And then as that one person came by, and I'll do this with the others if there's time, I've had them look at, enclosing, coming up with some type of, secure enclosure for the town clerks, tax collectors, plexiglass, or, come up with something, and then also to come up here and give us an idea of something we could do.
Anybody else wanna see this? The list?
Which reminds me that I did get a call from another company, there are 2 awning companies I didn't put on that list. One
Mhm. Would an awning be sufficient though, to do that? For the snow load?
They put
Where do you
in
make them?
a 24 gauge steel
Oh, okay,
plate
okay. Underneath,
underneath the canvas.
okay,
To support the weight?
yeah,
But that would support the weight, but if you had ice fall on that canvas, hitting the canvas with a plate underneath it, pretty soon you'd have holes.
There's no,
It'd break down the fiber of the canvas.
is there any ice buildup usually up there?
You get icicles every once in a while.
Or not? Nothing significant,
it's mostly snow,
Yeah,
water.
I think since we removed the slate, we have less.
as long as you stay
Like
away
used
from
to be
Jane,
able
you
to-
shouldn't have any problem with it hitting you in the head.
And did you give them the cleaning bids, the copies of the cleaning bids?
Yep.
Yes.
So were you gonna be talking about that
Yeah.
at the selectmen's?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so if there's anything you want me to do tomorrow, will you let me know?
We have,
That's if you don't even know that you'll be in.
Do we
I will
know-
be, no, I'll be in tomorrow.
do we want to act on the cleaning bid now while Joyce is here, or?
Yes,
Sure.
we can certainly do that. There's three of us that were all part of the last meeting, so I think between the three of us, we can, and Catherine brought up, sent the contract. Now, you have to understand that this is, their contract, but he obviously didn't have that, and we would have to, the way it ended up was, we're going to, have him for 1 month with no contract. He's going to, help us during that month. He says he'll know after 1 week. But at the end of the month, we're gonna sit down and go over the actual time needed for the cleaners to be here. Because he feels pretty strongly that, it should be able to be done a lot quicker than it has been. Yes,
Is he the guy that cleaned up the stain?
yes.
Okay.
So anyway, Jonathan, we asked him several questions, and I invited Tim to come out, so Tim sat and asked questions as well. And our main concerns were, first of all, although we don't mind getting into a 5-year contract, we want to note, especially in the beginning, that there'd be some kind of trial period, like a probationary period, so that if at the end of that probationary period we were not happy, it wouldn't mean that we were stuck in a contract for a year or so. And he was amenable to adding that to the contract. He's going to work the first month because the question kept coming up on, do we really need the extra time for the cleaning? And the way he explained it is, this is a rather large business that they have, and they don't make money sitting around taking extra time in place. Their people are trained exactly the order and how they go through room by room and what they do in what order. And that on the way out the door, they stand there and they say, now, is there anything I forgot? This is the policy that they have. And as far as if something comes up that Catherine's not happy, and we explained to him, if Catherine's not happy, we're not happy. So anyway, if for some reason an issue comes up and Catherine has to call, then he personally comes out and he will speak with the individual that will be doing our properties. And he said, and they will go over what they did wrong, or, what the misunderstanding was. And he said there are no third chances. He will talk to them once, they're put on notice, and if he has to come back again, they're let go. So, and then he will start someone new. Sounds like quite an operation that they have. I think all of us were very impressed with him. He even brought his own equipment and cleaned our dead body spot down there, and it's still gone, which meant a lot. And one thing that he did say that I thought impressed all of us, I sat there and thought about it, and the more I thought about it, I thought, my God, he's right. And that is the fact that he feels that the people that have been cleaning in the past should be ashamed of themselves. That just from walking around, just from talking, he could see areas that have probably never been touched. So anyway, we were quite happy with him. So,
Mystic, but
Sounds very optimistic.
I think he's a little surprised on what a tight leash we're keeping him on, but we keep reminding him, you know, we've just
Hey,
not been
we've
satisfied.
been through the
so-
wars, you know, I mean, you know, like I said to him, I said, we are so tired of starting with someone new, and in the beginning, oh, what a marriage we've got, the honeymoon, but the honeymoon ends.
Quick.
And all of a sudden you show up and it's like, were they here last night? You know, so, anyway, and he said he understood that. So, he was supposed to, which he did do, he sent us this agreement, but we have already discussed with him that after he works, what he would do is, what, the charge for the year, he would divide that into 12-month increments. The first month, that would be our monthly payment. And then at the end of the month, we would sit down with him, go over what he feels the actual times are, because he questions whether we need the additional time that we put on here. So once we have come to an agreement on that, then we would sign a 5-year agreement, but the 5-year agreement would have what you call a little probationary period in it, whether it was 1 month, 3 months, whatever. it would be.
But even that's negotiable.
Yes, and that is
It
also
could be 3,
negotiable.
4, you know, we have
So-
to play, let's make
The
a deal.
1 month, the 1 month that he's going to do and no contract, will that include the senior center?
I'm assuming that it will. He's going to clean the town hall, and they would be doing the PD. I assume that they would not do anything at Riverfront, because the park is closed out.
I think we'd have to ask him,
Yeah,
because
but we'll have
that
to,
wasn't oversight on
that
our
would
part.
be, yes, that would
We
be,
made the assumption,
yes, we
but
did,
now that you're saying it out loud, we should ask him.
yes.
Because I'm wondering, what day he would do it on. That would be the
Well, this
question.
contract is really, I think, a standard contract. He's
It
saying
is.
it starts January 13th. This is giving, you know, all the, it's not really a contract directed at Town of Tilton. This is, this is their, right,
Sample.
Well, this
So-
is their standard one they give out,
So
Right.
and then we
would
can,
they kind of start like December and then January?
no, they're gonna start in January 1st. They'll work for
When is our
January,
other contract
the end of
January
December.
1st.
at? Okay.
So he would, yeah.
Yeah, that's my next.
So anyway, what we're explaining all this, and if I badly left something out, please. Catherine, you were there, and so was Catherine. So if I've left anything out that made an impression on you, we feel very strongly, and I think Tim also agreed, that as long as he's going forward with everything that he made an agreement to, you know, at our discussion, and obviously, we would not sign a contract at the end of our 1 month if he starts changing the rules of the game. But we all felt pretty strongly that we would like to pick him. Or
So
I should
is
say, pick this company.
Is that why exhibits A and B aren't included?
What is exhibit?
Exhibit B is the fee schedule. I assuming there's an A because it
Yes,
refers to a
yes,
B.
there is.
The exhibit A, the fee schedule was when they answered to the RFP.
Yes, and they
Okay,
gave us the list of,
okay, I got that.
That
Exhibit
was-
A is the scope of work,
Right.
exhibit B is the fee schedule.
Either way, I got the scope of work.
The
whichever
scope
one
of
happens
work
to
And the
be.
fee-
will be more defined and developed over this month.
right,
Has Mr. Pearson already perused
Yeah.
the
Yes.
contract?
And one of the things that we got him to agree to, which was Sandy was talking about earlier, if you look at 2 in term, it says 5 years, again, we can still hash that out,
yeah,
depending on how we feel about them. But the second sentence, it says thereafter,
right,
so,
that would be taken out.
yeah, he agreed to take that out, so that any time during the contractual period, either party can get out of the contract with a 30-day written notice. Also, I don't know why it says 30 and then parentheses 5 days.
Yeah,
That makes no sense.
It doesn't. As soon as I saw that, I
But you
said,
know what that
had a
says
question
is
on
that at the end of 5 years, it goes month to month.
if you don't renew.
If you don't renew.
If
But
you
again,
don't.
remember, we still gotta sit down with this at the
Yes.
end of January and
Right.
I wanna look at exhibit B too.
Okay, well, we have those. Hang on, I will get them out.
well, remember, Exhibit A has really, the scope of work as it sits today is as per our RFP.
Give me
After
a
he's,
ballpark.
right, after he's here for a month, you'll see things added on to that.
If I see a $50,000 exhibit B, I'm just curious, that's all.
So can we bring this up at next week's, put this on next week's agenda
Works for
to,
me, we've got
well,
plenty
we
of time,
can
right?
get the agendas, the appendixes out to
Yep,
you, so that you'll know what you're looking at.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, if you send it to me, there's plenty of time to do this.
Well, the only thing is,
Thought we were
is
voting
in
on it or
order to
something.
give the
You wanna vote on it
existing-
tonight?
Yeah, the existing a decent
Right.
notice.
Right.
We should vote on it
Okay, then
tonight.
pass that down to Joe, you need to see that then.
That way I have a
Oops, I'm
ballpark.
sorry, this is the wrong one. Catherine, do you have yours right together?
I'm sorry,
You have your bid,
you're looking for the appendix?
Oh, the
Yes,
prices.
the two, that I know you took yours out and attached them to that
You're such
contract.
a pain sometimes, aren't you?
This is the wrong one. This is Presley.
Actually, yes. You could say yes.
Okay, I'm looking.
It would be
Catherine's
true.
looking.
Okay, it's a nice little presentation.
Oh, I know, you have that, but that wasn't, he has a sheet that's got the breakdown of the cost. That was all.
No, this,
Hold on.
And we did put everything together, that's why I'm looking. Let's see. Let's see that. 6.
This is a list of what he's doing. This is what he is doing, and this is.
yay, 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 okay, that's what I'm looking for.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
I also wanted to show you these.
There's material lists if you want to look at
Insurance,
them.
oh, the MSDS.
And this gives you an overview. These are the additional hours that we ask them to get us bids on, and this is.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mhm.
all set, Joe? Is that what you need?
This is the information I was looking for, yep.
Okay.
Well, I'm waiting for him to finish.
No, and I'm pretty good, I'm just scanning the specifics, I've got the bottom line figured.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that, we hire Capital for cleaning services for the town of Tilton, the police department, Riverfront Park, and that also includes cleaning of the senior center for no additional charge.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
according to this, the senior center does have a charge.
Now, he told us if we would sign a 5-year contract, that he would clean the senior center for no additional charge.
So the bottom figure on this sheet is
Minus the,
minus that figure?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Well,
was a
that just
preliminary
changed
bid.
my vote. I'm glad we had a discussion.
okay. Is there any more questions, concerns? All those in favor of the motion?
Yes?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
All in favor? Motion passes. Do you have the ratio you wanna talk about?
Yes, just so December, 31st,
Mm-hmm. We can have him come,
I don't know if the current contractor works Monday, either way would be the last week.
okay.
Lauren was here today and completed the ratio study. The page I want to draw your attention to is the one with the green clip. The way this works is DRA, they generate this form,
Mm-hmm.
and Lauren checks it to make sure that there's valid sales. You know, if
Okay.
something may come up that she has information that they weren't able to glean from DRA, wasn't able to glean from the PA
Right.
So first I want you to go through and look through this is all the properties that sold, that transferred, and you'll see that there's notes on just about all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But she did manage to get 18 valid sales. And then when you look on this page here, this is DRA, it's just a fill-in form, and they say, does it meet this criteria? Yes, yes, not applicable, yes, yes, yes. So our assessments meet DRA's criteria. And
Okay.
then once this is the summary sheet, it shows you how many sales in each category.
Right.
When you look through this, you may have information that Laura didn't have or maybe wasn't on the form. So if you do
Mhm.
see something, make a note of it. And then if you're happy with it, then by signing this form, all this does is mean that Lauren can go ahead and press the button and submit it to DRA.
Okay.
This is an elderly, no, this is a veteran's tax credit that's been granted for 2013. There's an elderly exemption that's been granted for 2013. There's a couple of paid time off requests, which are okay. And 2 abatements, just correcting some errors on this one. Remember that piece of property, the owner unknown, that we took?
Yep.
We took it in
Lockmere?
No, in Beach Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is Lockmere technically, yeah.
The
The island of land?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, so, she just changed that to non-exempt. We could, because as of April 1st, it was owner unknown, but, so we have to abate that. And then this was just a correction of it.
So that's now in the name of the town of Tilton.
Yes, and after the first of the year, I'll come to the town with a proposal on how we should dispose of that. We had talked a little bit about that before, so, and then there's a couple of things. And then in the, in here, if you have a moment, there's, you wanna read, this is all the backup on the mediation, and there's some correspondence from the other.
Oh, he sent the rest of the information.
Yes, yeah, that's in here, plus some correspondence between the mediation statement that the opposing counsel did, plus his email to our attorney.
Interesting.
Okay, and then also we had the file the workers' comp claim. That's it.
Do you want these back now?
Yeah, I'd like at least one set. What I'm gonna do.
Oh, I gave Catherine mine. I had made a copy and I just highlighted mine, so Catherine took
I'm gonna go
mine.
down and email these out.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the letter, so is that, I can get that tomorrow.
Well, it's making its way around.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nothing's
we'll
wrong.
leave it there. We'll make sure it gets back on your desk when we're done.
No, we don't need that.
Not sure.
Oh,
We did need, I thought that was 307. We do need the 307 Bob.
Yep, I'll do it, 307. That's what I'm gonna grab.
Just leave it on your desk. When we're ready, we can just skip down
Yeah,
and
we'll
get it.
No, because I'll come back up anyway to,
You sure?
before I leave, yeah. Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Okay, next on our agenda, is Merrick coming?
I think it's coming up, I think it's just gonna be,
Okay, just got tied up, okay. Come on up, put the two chairs together, we'll turn around one of these mics because you really can't hear from.
Good, how are you?
Turn yours around.
Turn that around.
So no, we don't need it.
No, you need your stuff.
Yeah, you got the, oh, yeah. You got
Okay,
the-
so you're gonna give us a small presentation on, K-9 unit? That's Joyce going downstairs.
Thank you.
I can.
Mhm.
read it out loud?
Sure. Yeah.
It's just a little bit of background to talk about kind of why we started to look at a canine program, and as we proceed, some of the stuff we're going to take a look at as we go forward. The members of the Tilton Police Department strive to provide a high level of service and quality of life for both the residents and the business owners of Tilton. In maintaining that goal, the Tilton Police Department is continuously looking at ways to improve our level of service. That said, there is always a requirement to maintain the necessary crime prevention program, detection techniques, investigation strategies, and apprehension methods to uphold the expected standard of excellence. In our quest to do just that, we are currently in the process of exploring the possibility of establishing a police canine program. Canine officers and their partners have proven to be an effective tool in locating people, drugs, and other contraband that may otherwise go undiscovered by unaided patrol officers. The canine could be used to deploy or perform tasks such as tracking people ranging from a missing child, adult with Alzheimer's or autism, suicidal person, where there is a time factor, to wanted criminal field searches for suspects or articles of evidence such as weapons, cell phones used in a crime, building searches, as well as serving as a deterrent to criminal behavior and minimize the risk of use of force incident. This is a list of the police canine capabilities, but some more common uses. Because of all the types of crime trends and criminal activities that we are starting to see in the town of Tilton and surrounding areas, the establishment of a canine team would give us another useful resource to prevent or to more quickly solve these crimes. As part of this process, over the next 6 to 12 months, we will be exploring the need, feasibility, sustainability, equipment, and training to start and maintain the program. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of a background. Aside from that, probably over the last couple years, I've had officers approach me and say, "Hey, Chief, would you ever consider, bringing a canine onto the department?" I've had residents ask me, and also businesses, in the wake of the robberies that we've had over the last couple of years. I've had store owners ask me, and I've also had some businesses approach me and say, "Hey, if you were ever interested in doing a canine, we would love to support the program." So I've been approached from many different angles over the last couple of years, and I promised everyone that at some point I'd take a look at it, and so that's what we're starting to do now. Kind of leading up to tonight, I tasked Merrick and Andrew to do some homework for me to kind of see you know, is it feasible, what kind of support is out there and what's involved, to give me a more clear picture, because it's an area of weakness for me. I've never started a canine program. I use them all the time, I believe in them, but I needed to educate myself too. So with everything I have going on, I asked Andrew and Merrick to work on that for me, and Andrew's really taken the bull by the horns and done a lot of homework, and really put together a lot of information and data for me, which was helpful. And when he finished that, I said, well, you know what, let's go to the board and let them know what we're doing, and kind of give you guys a snapshot of where we're at right now and some of the stuff over the next few months that we'll take a look at. And also, if you have any questions or issues that you want us to look at related to it, I can have Andrew look at that for you. So basically, that's what tonight's all about, just to give you a little bit of, open up some dialogue, see what you guys think, and maybe answer some of the questions. Probably Andrew might be able to answer more than I can, because he's done so much homework. You know, and I'd like to, you know, say thank you for all that, because he's done a lot of it on his own. So. Some of the things I asked Andrew to look at for me is breeders, where do we get dogs from, quotations, you know, are there costs associated with the dogs, and really he can talk more detail, but he came back and there's all kinds of options out there. There's also kind of, from different canine units around the state, there's also different points of view on obtaining a dog, whether we buy it from a breeder, or we get it donated to the department, or we go through Working Dog, and they through their own grants help obtain dogs for police departments. And if you talk to the different agencies, they all have their points of view on why they chose the option they did. State police has a system that works for them. What breeders they like, they can articulate very well why they use those breeders. If you talk to Working Dog, which is kind of based out of the seacoast, they feel that their breeders give them a good quality dog, and they get grant money to cover it. So, and then Andrew also found a local breeder that raises dogs here, and he can probably talk a little bit more about that or answer more questions. But just a snapshot is that some of the dogs that, like, state police require, they come with a screening process. They're pre-x-rayed, pre-screened, and guaranteed, basically. And I didn't know that you'd get such a thing with a dog, but they actually do that.
Guaranteed to be a dog?
Well, guaranteed to be free of any
medical issues.
So they've been to the
Sometime
vet,
a year.
they've been checked out,
Yeah, they've been checked out, so that, you know.
inoculated, all of
that,
those issues,
yeah.
right?
Hip dysplasia.
Oh, yeah, and so they say, talking to some departments, you know, that have taken donated dogs in the past, and actually back when state police used to take donated dogs, Craig was a canine handler, we talked about that today a little bit. He said that, you know, it's hit or miss with donated dogs. You might get 2 or 3 that are great, and then you might get one that has all kinds of health issues. So there's some pros and cons there. Andrew did explore some options as far as getting the cost of the dog donated, and to go out and buy basically a guaranteed dog that's free of any medical issues, pre-screened. You know, the type that state police use, the prices can range anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000. And he's already kind of done some legwork to find out if we were ever to go that option, who would be willing to donate the cost of the dog. And so that was the first piece I had him look at. The second piece was food. You know, how do we feed him annually, and how would that work? I had always heard that a lot of these Petco and PetSmart and Tractor Supply, that they're very supportive of police canine programs, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, that I just didn't take someone's word. So Andrew went out there, he talked with Tractor Supply, and they said, absolutely, we do have a program that does that, and we would cover all the food for the dog. I know there are some agencies that get all the canines food through Petco or PetSmart. It seems like for these type of programs, there's a lot of support out there, probably more support for this than any other thing I've ever had to obtain for police work. People just love these programs. The next thing, some of my chief counterparts told me is see if you could find a local veterinarian that would kind of take on the program and see if they would, take care of all the medical for the dog. And so he met with Lakeside and spoke with the vet there, and she said absolutely. She has had prior agreements, I think, with Guilford, or is it a different
Those
vet?
services aren't going to be able to get.
Oh, okay. But for us, they would be, and she actually gave us something in writing saying that she would take care of all the veterinary services. We also found a department that had retired the dog, and they basically gave us the whole cage setup for the back of a car, which I'm told the suggested retail cost of that setup would be about $1,700. Donated the whole thing to Tilton PD. So that kind of came off of that punch list of things that I asked Sandra to look into as far as cost goes. And next on the list was insurance, property liability and animal health. I wanted them to look into that. He spoke with Scott Whedon from LGC. Scott said, there would be no increase in property liability costs, and that LGC, and I didn't know this, also covers all the major health expenses for the dog at no extra cost, which departments that have their competitor Primex don't, so they actually have to get their own medical health insurance for the dog, which is about $30 a month. But if you're a LGC customer, you don't have to worry about it. They take care of all that. So, because the policy that some towns that have Primex, there's a deductible there, so none of that's in play. And then lastly, I asked them to take a look at training who offers it. How is it scripted throughout the year? Pros and cons to each training program. And he looked at Working Dog, he looked at state police and some other programs, and he was able to come back and report to me the pros and cons of each. The one that he kind of leaned to, they were all free. The one that he leaned towards was the state police program, which was a consolidated 14-week program that usually starts every spring. I don't know if they run a fall class or not. And Working Dog is kind of spread out throughout the year. So you start into it and then it goes all year long. And so that was some of the initial things that I asked him to look for. He brought back all kinds of information on all those questions for me. Still have some more homework to do, but I just wanted to give you a snapshot of where we're at and answer any questions that we can, and if we can't, we'll certainly research them and get back to you.
Can you, I think what comes to mind is when you have a dog, and I think it's a wonderful program, by the way, it's an excellent program. So I have to think this Tilton needed, and I wonder how often you use the dogs from outside agencies now to cover your crimes and experiences, and I know you use them at the school to do a walkthrough once in a while. That's one of the questions. Another question is that when you have a canine program, you dedicate one officer, a handler, to the dog, and you also have to dedicate a vehicle as well, correct?
You do.
So if we were to do this, you would have to have a vehicle that would be just dedicated to canine. So how would that work out? That would be another question. How would that work out? Because if you're a regular patrol officer and you have a canine and you're out on patrol and something comes up and you can't really transport with a dog in the back of the car. Am I correct in saying that? You'd have to call someone else to
Well,
do
there are
that.
circumstances where you could transport a prisoner in the front, but
I know.
I don't think that's something that you want to make a habit of that. It can be done though.
Okay.
I know that's how the state does it, is they actually transport in the front seat. And Trace in all the years he did it because of the dogs like right through the cage behind him. Never had a prisoner act up. I said, I probably wouldn't either.
Yeah, I probably
The
wouldn't
dog
either.
right up through
I
the
know.
cage.
So, would you be looking for when you want to do this program, would you be looking for another vehicle just to dedicate to the program? I mean, you would have, would it be one of the vehicles that you have now?
Yeah, I'd have to work it in, try to get one that, isn't so old that it's not worth, putting the equipment into it. There's a little bit of cost there,
Right.
to put it in, but the same respect, then it takes that vehicle that might be going, passing through several different drivers every day, day in, day out, to go into one driver. So in a way, it can add time to its life,
Right.
because now you're going to the one driver.
Right.
Um,
So you might have to rethink.
You know, yeah, and they would, I mean, he doesn't become, or she doesn't become not useful to patrol, they're still handling calls. It's just now they're a four-legged partner with them on every call, versus alone, but they're still out there handling
Right.
every chocolate or a noise complaint or a domestic, or, one of the things that was brought to my attention, and I kind of mentioned it in there, is there's very little use of force or resistance by suspects in the presence of a dog. To the point where, some of the handlers said, I never have to use OC or my taser or anything. Just knowing the dog's there, the suspect's like, okay, I give up, I don't wanna. Where in some instances, officers have had to, spray them and tase them and roll around with them. With a dog, it really minimizes that. And I could, even though I'm not a handler, I can say that I've never seen anyone resist in the presence of a dog either, so that's just one of these other upsides, I think.
I have a question. What happens, now I understand that it's a dog and a handler, it's not multiple handlers. What happens if you get your dog all trained and everything's hunky-dory and then your guy decides to quit or go to another police department? Now, this dog is, I assume it would go with the guy that's leaving because it's been trained with him, or you have to have it retrained.
Right, agencies have put together agreements, for memorandum of understanding with the officer, to say that, you're gonna give me the working life of the dog, which
So they commit to
they
the,
commit to
they
7 to
commit to
9
the
years.
the municipality with the dog as well.
What's the consequences if they don't?
That's,
Off with their head?
yeah,
Off of their head.
They're awful harsh.
Any other force is gonna look at that as a breach of the guy's word.
right.
I mean, I'm not real anxious to hire the guy that just blew off Laconia or Belmont or
They walked
Sandwich.
away from
An agreement
Yeah,
with
sure.
the town.
How many other
That's it.
nearby towns have K-9 units? I know Samberton
Milford,
does.
Laconia.
cemetery.
No, only two.
Samberton doesn't? I thought Samberton had one.
No, only Laconia and Guilford.
And state.
And yeah, of course, state police
What about Southern, anything down
Plymouth, oh, Southern,
Concord?
Manchester.
there. The other closest ones is Moultonborough still active?
It is.
Okay. So Moultonborough is the next closest one, Concord PD has one.
So
There are some in Eastwood.
I know.
would our K-9 unit be borrowed? What would happen in that
I think
instance?
it's kind of like anything, if they're sending their dog to me 3 times a month, and then they ask, I should probably reciprocate, and I gotta say, the communities with dogs have been incredible to us, and we've used them a lot. Both Smoke and Barley robberies with K-9 solved, Pizza Hut robbery with K-9 solved. We're gonna make an arrest on another robbery that we recently had, and that's gonna
Which
tie
was
into
K-9.
K-9. So I mean, and those are other communities' dogs that said, yeah, chief will come, and they came. It's just how quick can they get here, and then recently we had a burglary at, Eurasian Auto. This was actually just last week, I think. And, the closest dog was, I think he was over in Guilford, but it wasn't Guilford's dog. It was state police, and he came over, and, they had an audible alarm that basically said the police are coming. And so, he wasn't in the building. I was hoping it was silent. And, so the dog got out of the car, he walked him over to a chair, that was propped below the window, and all of a sudden, I thought the dog was gonna rip the handle of his arm out of his shoulder. He just literally took off, and this is a pretty big handler, his feet were dragging across the field, and he took off like a rocket. And then he came back and said to me that the track went to a parking lot, and he suspects he got into a car. And so, they are a great tool, they do work. A lot of times when we get dogs from other agents, because there's a delay, they're not necessarily getting the suspect because so much time's passed, but they're getting articles for us, like a ski mask, or like in the case of the Pizza Hut robbery, suspect was gone, but he got a cell phone for us, and we were able to pull messages out of there that led to a conviction. But, you know, there are some instances where that time delay can be critical. And so, I think they're an incredible tool. Like, you know, I didn't, my 30s here, and wherever I've ever worked, we've used them and loved them, and they've been successful for us. But I needed to educate myself, and I needed these guys to help me. And so they've done a lot of homework, and I said, well, before we go any farther, you know, let's meet with the board, bring them up to speed, let you guys know where we're at, what we're thinking. And plus, you know, in case residents go to you and go, hey, why doesn't Chief Coleman have a dog? You know, Gilbert has a dog. Why doesn't Tilton have a dog? You know, to help you guys be able to answer those questions for residents or businesses that ask you too. You can say, well, you know, they are looking at it, and here's where we're at with it. So,
Well, you look on the bright side, dogs don't wear a lot of bling.
I don't know, I've met some blingy dogs.
no
Um,
time,
What special equipment's gonna be
No,
required to keep the dog?
What was the question?
Special equipment to keep the dog? Are you talking
Housing, training, I know.
It would
heard
go
the-
home with the handler,
We heard the
correct?
cage in the car.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be housed at the handler's house, so.
Cage
whatever.
at the house?
Yeah, like a kennel type, it depends where you wanna house the canine, outside, inside, whatever the handler prefers to do, so. That's some specific, equipment that may be required, so, we're in the process of trying to get that done right now.
There are a lot of training aids. When it comes to the canine, there are a lot of training aids that are associated with equipment.
That we will have to
Bites-
purchase,
bites,
or?
sleeves and suits and bits and throws, and there's all kinds of stuff. And that, Officer Sam has been working on making sure that we get some sort of financial support from the community or otherwise to pick up all the little pieces that, they're incidental, but they add up. There are a lot of them.
yeah, today we
Need
found a frame
replacing
for,
periodically, I would imagine.
Not a lot of them. You'll find that most of the handlers around here have been using virtually a lot of that same
Years.
type of equipment for the duration of the time that they've had that dog. So
Right.
It may be minor things like
Yeah.
leads or harnesses or something like that that need wear and tear.
Well, I'm thinking in terms more of like the bigger ticket items, the bite suit. If a dog bites a suit up for 3 or 4 years, there might be padding issues, or, I don't know.
I don't know of many agencies that have bite suits.
They
Bite
usually
suits
Well,
do
he
have
used
full
that as an
sleeve.
example.
yes,
I
yeah,
don't know.
the sleeves and otherwise.
usually the schools.
I saw a demonstration in a full suit,
Right,
and that's what
yeah,
I thought
they're
he was
there.
talking about.
That's why I mentioned it.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's
So,
yeah, sleeve.
I hear about all of the potential support from the business community and whatnot, and wonderful, I love dogs, yay, I can see we've been using dogs, and you know there's a butt coming. But 14 weeks of an officer in Concord or Manchester or whatever is payroll. And then coverage for that, what would be that individual's regularly scheduled shift. If the individual involved worked all day today, as part of his regular patrol, or he was at the Pizza Hut robbery or whatever, and then later on tonight, we have a little kid up here, now it's overtime. I'm just wondering what the potential undonated costs could potentially be. Because once we start the program, we're kind of investing into the future. Okay, dog's useful life is 5 years, 6 years,
6 or 7, I would say.
okay? Are we gonna run a program for 6 years and have all the equipment and cage and everything else and discontinue it because the dog is retiring? Or do we get a new dog and we gotta train a new guy or whatever? So there are continuing costs to the town, and as we go forward, I would like an approximation of what potentially this might cost in like the near term, intermediate, and long term. Because there will be costs, certainly, even though a lot of the expenses are defrayed.
I think that your point is valid, although we do send officers for training. And if an incident comes up at night, and they get called out, that would happen whether or not they're in
And I
training
take
a
that
dog or anything
information
else.
into account
Right.
when I'm thinking about whether this is a necessary thing for the town of Tilton.
Right.
I can see it, but I think it's
You're
good
right,
to be
though.
armed with the
That's like a real
information
cost, honest.
in advance. Cause somebody will come up and say, why do we need a dog? What's that costing me?
Absolutely.
I have to be able to justify this
Right.
in order to be in favor.
Now, the 14 weeks of school, is that 5 days a week, is that what that is, or?
Yeah, it'd be like basically
Gone away.
polygraph school, it'd be
Yeah.
like for 11 weeks, it would be that same thing, so that's why I said these guys, I'd wanna make sure that
It's a
the
big
staff's
commitment.
okay.
Right.
You know, that the schedule looks good, that there's no one else and anything else for that period of time. You know, and if anyone else comes and they wanna go to the school for fire break, so you can't because we have to handle it away. So everything else kind of goes on hold, so that we're not juggling multiple balls in the air at once,
Right.
training wise.
It should be said for that as well, that our police department thankfully has had very little turnover, and we've had very little training costs that are long-term training costs. We haven't sent anybody to the academy with the exception of this and next year for quite some time. The good thing.
Wasn't our polygraph last year?
Yeah.
That was a
Right,
while,
right.
wasn't
I'm
it?
saying that for going to the police academy for academy training, for
Right.
officer training for the academy.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and that's typically what we consider to be our longest
You were the
loss
last
of
one.
an employee on a paid basis.
That's good.
I guess what I'm saying is the nice thing about it, gee, Officer Salmon was one of the last people we ended up sending to the academy before the newest batch, and you've been here since 2005?
Almost 7 years.
6.
6.
Okay.
7 years they'd have to send anyone.
So, I'm not trying to say that I'm black and whiting what you're saying so far as if somebody were to approach you and to ask you, but there are those certain long-term training costs that we have to account for every so often. The nice thing about it is that we haven't had to do that with a couple of exceptions lately, in the frequency that it would normally happen, and in the frequency that people will turn over in a department our size. So thankfully, where we haven't had that, we've actually saved quite a bit of money in having to retrain new people on those long-term training bases, so. And
I
that's
feel
just another
that we
thing to
have an
consider if somebody should ask you.
exceptional police department. I am all in favor of training them to continue that, don't get me wrong. I just wanna be aware of what that costs in dollars and cents.
And again, because you're gonna have somebody who is definitely going to ask you.
I can even think of a couple.
And yeah, and what I'm saying is, the thing about that is being armed with the information to know
Mhm.
that the police department thankfully has dodged the bullet on a lot of long-term training costs because their retention has been so good. So I think maybe to say that, retention-wise, because the police department's done so well, they've actually saved up, if you will,
Oh,
to
I
be
believe
able
that.
to afford to do these things that we're going to.
But this is specialized training. It's
Yes.
in addition to,
Right.
and it just,
It's just like
that type of
that.
training, the polygraph and shooting guns and all that, just makes our officers better officers.
Absolutely, it makes us a better department, and God knows we're a magnet. I was reading in the Winnisquam Echo, willful concealment, credit card fraud. These malls and these stores are a magnet for everybody around here. And go where the money is, right? And that was what, Willie Sutton? I'm all in favor of keeping the business and the people of Tilton safe. That's what we're tasked with, all of us.
I think from another perspective, that we should probably perhaps look at from a contractual perspective. You know,
Now we can
what,
have a contract with the dog?
well, yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Where would it fit?
There's gotta be
where
some
would it
language.
fit in
Right,
duty?
right.
Where would it fit in your contract? Where would it fit
Oh, wow.
in your line of duty, in your description? And does it change anything? Do we have to add an
Look at all
addendum
of
to
that.
it? Do we have to add an addendum to it? What if you get a call out, call outs?
Is
so
there
on
a
and so
premium paid for that?
I
Because
mean,
you keep the dog at home, that's a big personal
commitment. It is a person, it's a huge
That's the
personal
big thing, and if you've got a wife and kids, they have to deal with this dog. Do you have a candidate in mind as we go forward? Do you have volunteers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there will be, we just haven't got that far yet
Mm.
too, but, I think that, going back to that, if you look at agencies that have detectives, polygraphers, canine people, SWAT, that, it varies whether they get a stipend to do that, or, anything like that. Or if they wanted to negotiate that in somehow, and I think if you were to look at 20 agencies, it'd all be different,
Mhm.
depending on the size of the agency, the size of the canine or SWAT program, or polygrapher program, or,
I think it's worth looking at, though. I think, in your search, in your further search, that you look at the canine units that exist now and look at how they present it,
right,
how they present it contractually, and how they present it money-wise, and how they present it on a personal level when you actually do go home.
Thankfully, we do have a few around here that we can just kind of generally query for how they
Right.
do their business, and we'll get, some policies and put them together. If we can compile just a few policies, that compilation alone will give us an idea of how they're handling it best, and they've been doing this for quite a while.
Right.
Right,
So instead of reinventing the wheel to go around just these locals and
sure.
see what they have put into place, and
Right.
finding what we think would fit best here out of their free ideas instead of having to rehammer that all out.
Is it feasible to consider that the overtime that might be incurred by the handler
That will
Would-
be incurred.
That will be
Well,
incurred, right,
would
will
be,
be
could
offset.
could be offset
Right.
by shortening the amount of time that a crime takes to be
Right.
solved?
absolutely,
Absolutely,
yeah.
or catching the person, boom.
If we have a robbery and
Right
the
there.
dog catches him that night, it's over in an hour. If we don't catch him, it's a 6-month investigation.
Right.
You're talking about a couple hundred hours on a
Couple-
detective's
yeah.
time, taking him away
That's
from another
a
case.
So
selling point to those people who would
It
be
is.
bottom line, no matter what, so that's great.
I mean, I
If the
could,
dog can aid patrol in preventing a case that could take that long from moving into another division and tying them up, then it's already solved that. We don't have to take those resources from elsewhere, but the detectives, every time they're given a new case, the time's gonna come from somewhere. And, the calls that we didn't have the additional resources on, the afterthought, burglaries that we find after the fact, the past tense crimes that the dog wouldn't be of much use in some cases. It gives them the time to concentrate on that, where patrol can become so much more proficient in preventing the crime from getting to the point where the detectives have to take it.
I mean, one comes to mind quickly is, we had a call of it was getting dark, sunset, of a missing kid. It was a 5-year-old boy, and we got there and we knew the sun was going down, so time wasn't on our side. Mom's crying, family's in panic, so I'm calling the world and every officer I can. So we have a practice of we always search the house first. So we tear this house
Under
outside
the
down,
beds and, yeah.
everywhere, and this kid's nowhere to be found. So now units are coming in from other towns. I'm like, take 5 guys and go that way, 5 guys and go that way, and span out 360. Let's do a half a mile around the house. If we don't find anything within the first hour, we'll expand to the second half a mile, check in. It's turned into a huge operation in about 45 minutes into it, and I'm screaming for a dog the whole time, but there's not one around. And finally, about 45 minutes later, 50 minutes later, we get a dog there, and I have people deployed in the woods. It's a huge deal. Now it is dark, and I said to the handler, the last place the mom saw him was out in front of the house. So he starts there, and immediately the dog starts looping the house, and the handler passes me. And he
It's
goes,
under the house.
"You sure you checked the house?" I said, "We tore this house apart." So he brought the dog in and he checked every room that we did. Still couldn't find the kid at all. And the handler was scratching his head and he goes, I don't know what to tell you. He goes, "My dog doesn't want to leave this house." And he had sniffed something on the kid's bed too, just to double check the scent. So finally he comes around the back of the house and he says, he's sitting on the back of this house and I don't know what's going on, but he's not leaving it. He goes, "Is there anything there?" And we looked and there was nothing there. There was a window what we didn't realize, it was a false wall, they had done construction. And this kid had climbed in there and fallen asleep.
So he was under the house.
And we couldn't get in there, I don't know how he got in there. But he's in between a wall, a false
Oh,
wall.
really?
And so, I can only but think of, we would have searched until the next morning, 40 people in the woods. 50
Or until you heard him
Until you
crying,
heard him
woke
crying or
up and
something.
started crying or
And
something.
so it's like that kind of, to me, those are priceless, you know, so I just love them. I love what they can do.
Mm.
100 cops couldn't have found that kid in that wall that night, you know, but that's just one of, I could give examples, you know.
What is the primary reason that we would have a dog? Is it search and rescue? Is it drug? Is it criminal apprehension?
Criminal apprehension and patrol interdiction measures. So
Probably the
anytime,
bulk, if you would ask what's the bulk of their work, I think that would be it. I think all those reasons are equally important to me.
Because search and rescue primarily has always been, you call it fishing game,
Upper
state
Valley,
police,
oh, yeah,
you know, Central New Hampshire Special Operations Unit, and,
yeah, oh, yeah.
because
all
I
that.
had an incident where I had to call them out,
Mhm.
and, I didn't have to wait. I mean, it was amazing, I was amazed at the number of people occupying my property within 20 minutes, I was flabbergasted.
Oh, yeah.
But, so my point is, if that resource is available, would we just continue using it if we had a dog? Or would you still want those bodies?
the patrol canine is not necessarily a replacement for a good tracking dog. That's why state police still maintains 2 bloodhounds. Because this dog is trained, I don't wanna use
It's a
the
dual
word
purpose
aggressive,
canine, the
but
one
it's
we'd
a-
be looking at is a dual purpose canine.
Yeah.
Patrol work and then narcotics, or patrol work and bomb,
Mm.
whatever it may be, so that's.
Yeah, I think
that's
the
all- that's all
lion's
out of
share
control.
would be patrol work, you know,
Correct.
which is apprehension, narcotics,
Yeah.
evidence. That would be the lion's share of the
Right.
dog's work.
Would this
Certainly it wouldn't
dog be
have
the
hurt-
dog that I saw up at the school?
Yeah,
Would
go
you
with
like
it.
that?
Yeah, that,
Yeah,
no,
just-
that was an amazing thing, to watch the dog
Yeah,
go
that's-
into the lockers and that kind of stuff.
They do phenomenal work.
Yeah, we'll put an item in a locker, you know, without the dog seeing that corridor, run him down there. He'll fly down that aisle past 100 lockers and boom, he'll stop at one,
He
snap
found
over
it, the
and
day I
start.
was watching, he found it,
Then we pull him out and then we run a different dog down the same corridor.
he found it too.
Amazing. It's just, but it is definitely an incredible tool. So I think, that's where we're at right now. These guys have done a lot of homework to get us here.
Yeah, it's great work.
I appreciate everything you both have done. I thought it was time to come and meet with you,
Me, as Pat Constantino, now as a selectman, I'm ready. I wanna know the other little points that we asked about tonight, and, 'cause I believe in it. I grew up with them when I was a kid, so they're phenomenal animals.
I was ready years ago, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Years
mean,
ago, I was ready.
but as a selectman, we have to ask these other questions, and so
Right.
it would be great to get those answers, and great to come back with those answers and finish the second half of the presentation and see where we go from there. That would be great.
Yeah, this is not drawn out, this is appropriate. Officer Salmon's been going through very, what you would think of would be just incidental details that don't seem to make much of a difference, but every single detail that we're looking into for this is being looked into like that, because both of us have been trying to make sure that we find out exactly what it is we want to do before we go ahead and jump into the pool, if we wanna know the temperature of the
What
water.
you're up to, right?
Sure. And I think that a lot of the small details that even we wouldn't think about sitting here talking about it, Officer Salmon has thought of, and there
Would
has
you-
been a whole lot more.
Would you use that
He was
as
right.
him or her as a training tool as well?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah, if you can't do foot patrol fast enough, get the dog out.
Well, I
And
meant
that's
with,
the kind of thing
You're gonna make
I meant with at
sergeant
the school.
someday.
I meant
We'll
that,
see.
With that attitude.
officer, I meant at the school. with the children.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I've seen a lot of the trainings and
Okay.
teaching the children about the dogs and what they can do and it's got preventive maintenance, I guess.
I was gonna say, that's an attitude adjustment
Being,
training.
being proactive with some of the kids, and like the fire department does
I
with
have to hide
their
my stuff in a
training
better place.
trailer. Right, I mean, they go out to the schools and they teach them, I mean, the same thing with the dog, you go out and you say, this is what we've got now, this is what can happen.
Don't touch it, or take your hand off.
I mean, they become part of the community, part of the family. They become this love for anyone on the planet. Towns that have them love them. I mean, I think they all get them Christmas presents. And they're in the family photo and all that. I mean, it's a great tool.
I think you ought to train cats to do it. Think what a surprise that would be.
Well,
I just saw
I
last
got
night.
one
they
that
teach
would
them how to
probably do
drive
it.
cars. You see
Why
it
don't
on
we
the
do
news?
that?
They're teaching them how to drive cars.
You don't have to train cats as long as you train one big enough cat.
Well, I appreciate you doing the work, it's a phenomenal
Excellent.
job,
Excellent.
and it was well put out, well thought out, and, I'm looking forward to the rest of the story.
Yes.
Did you know Tilton's getting a patrol panther?
A patrol panther?
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
That would be
you mess
awesome.
with a panther?
Yeah, I have.
I'm sure.
I had the opportunity to
I'm
play
not
with
banging.
about a year
I'm
old.
just saying, it's already the right
75
color, so
pounds.
we don't have to get it painted. I know repainting things that have already been painted has been an issue in the past.
Yes, exactly,
The panther is already set.
I mean,
Put a white t-shirt on if you wanted to make it match the cruiser.
we would like the dog to be
I was
unmarked.
gonna say, we have a couple of
Unmarked.
But you know, all
No
I-
signage,
I-
no
I-
bling,
I
just a
remember
call.
seeing with Jerry Lee, the dog called Jerry Lee, Oh,
Yes.
you've got to watch that. That dog was,
Jim Belushi?
yes.
Oh, yeah, that's a
That was
classic.
fun.
Oh, that dog was just,
Oh, yeah, that's a great movie, too.
I have one more
it was
question.
so lifelike.
That's not on my list of questions. We are no longer, my understanding is the apparatus for the car has to be in Crown Victoria, because that's what we've been donated. Otherwise, we purchase it ourselves. As time rolls by, our Crown Vics are getting older, more mileage on them. We're gonna have this dog for 6 years. We're possibly looking at purchasing a Crown Vic just for this purpose, that would be online for those 6 years? Or are you still considering the possibility of outfitting one of the older ones, which is what? 10 and
2010.
Yeah,
what's
but-
the next one down?
6.
6,
Well, 6 that are 8s though.
yeah, but
I
an
think
8 that's 4
eventually,
years old, I
yeah,
can't
right.
imagine the mileage,
No,
but.
you're right, absolutely.
I think after the life of that car, I'd probably start to look at the prices just to get the new cage that fits the new car.
Or a Ford Escape or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't wanna put our officer, who's actually gonna be a patrolman,
What are those little ones called?
in one of the cars that would normally send out to
Coopers?
detail, which just
Right,
isn't
right.
safe, so.
No, I think if we could, fundraise the amount, that's $1,700 a
They could
couple of
almost
years
have
from
3 wheels.
the
For
first
Zion?
program starts.
No,
Is
that's
that the
all.
apparatus
Those
cost?
new little,
I think though that we are
but anyway, this one.
better off going with the 2010 than any of the other Crown Vics right now.
Oh, that we have currently, but as I'm saying,
Like 3 years ago.
No, I
yeah,
just
if we
mean
don't
of the
implement
ones
this
that we do
soon,
have.
yeah, I agree
Right.
with
Of the
you.
ones that we do have, I think the 10 is the most suitable condition-wise.
Yeah,
Would
you
you
wouldn't wanna
say?
put it on an older vehicle, cause
Right,
you'd just be
right.
looking at,
I know
Doing it
State
anyway.
just started buying the new cage, canine cage for their Chargers, about the same price, because they weren't buying the Crown Vics anymore.
maybe it'd be a good use for the four-wheel drive. Would you buy Expedition?
The
Not-
supervisor
You still
stuff?
have to repurchase all the cage components.
Right, but I mean, if we're looking at buying a new vehicle.
Right, they
Yeah.
have that Explorer looking one.
Yep.
Explorer.
Oh, is
The
that what
one
we have
based
in
on the
Explorer?
Flex.
Yes, well,
The one,
Right. The patrol-ready SUV.
yeah,
Franklin has one.
right.
We got the market. Canine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's unmarked now,
They
so
put
we
a,
got the
they
market.
did some research, they put a thing in there that tells the temperature, kicks on the fan, and so that they don't have any heat issues, cold.
I've seen that,
And open the door, so
Yep.
all of a sudden someone tackles him and takes him to the ground. You
Mhm.
can hit a button and the door opens up.
Surprise!
Yes. I know, you know, I'd be so tempted to hook up a bell or something to that. So you'd hit the door and it'd go ding ding.
The old ways, they used to leave the.
Please don't let him in the cruiser with the dog.
They would
With
close
the
the
window
window
down?
down in the front window and tell them if I'm in trouble, you come through the cage, through my seat, and I'll, that's how they did it. Now the devices that make that much simpler.
If you get, recently you had the use of a dog here and it was part of a search effort. Was that a state, was that one of the locales?
Last one was
State.
time before that was Guilford.
Okay, so if an officer from another municipality spends several of hours in our municipality, do we cover the cost of the officer?
No.
No.
We all take care of it.
And that's where we'll look for that sort of reciprocal understanding that when Northfield says we need help, or even Laconia says we need help and our canine is out of the loop, can you guys send somebody? And we happen to have one on, not that we would call them in special on an overtime basis or anything like that for something that's just kind of a normal everyday call. But to have that reciprocity between the departments around here, not far away, because we know that regionally we will call as far away as you know, our county. So to include Guilford's dog, Laconia's dog, before we start going outside. I don't think we've ever called Moltenborough's dog to come here, you know. So within strict reason, I'm absolutely positive that our canine will be responding to other towns to assist them as we have been able to benefit from for many years now. So yes, that will happen. I know that not all people can appreciate how that works, because we're expending a resource at our expense in order to help out somebody else. But again, it's that reciprocity.
But
I've seen them helping us out, so.
Sure,
yeah,
all
I've
the
seen it.
time.
You're
all
right,
the
the
time.
general public doesn't see that.
They
There are
don't.
things that we
They
know,
don't.
We do,
but they don't, and
Yeah, we spent
they will see
half the
that
night in
as a,
December to helping him out with the Barron Gate
Right.
suicidal guy.
Sure.
He was a negotiator to talk him out, and so, yeah, we take care of each other. 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, right, not far from your area,
Yeah.
we needed a dog, and we had someone come down.
Right.
The closest one that night was, Big Police had a dog in Manchester, and he was on an accident. That was the closest dog. So Plymouth actually called theirs in from home to come in that night.
And the more you have, I mean, it's a premium service. You know, to be able to take advantage of such a great resource like that. To have more canines doesn't mean that they're gonna get called up from their living room on OT every time, I guess, and that's what I'm trying to say. What it means is the more that you have in the area, the less likely you are that they're all gonna be working at the same time, and that resource will be available to somebody who really needs it.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Sorry,
Great
I
job.
was elbows
You
deep
look
in a
so well.
alarm and control system. Sexually. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Andrew.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
thank you very much.
Next,
oh, thank you.
Okay,
I'll go down some.
actually, I'll get on that, I'll get on. What,
Do you have your keys back?
here,
Okay.
What are we doing?
no more says to the folder.
I got it.
While we're waiting for the report to come up, Catherine, do you have anything that you wanna tell the board about?
Yeah, but I'm sure Pat wants to hear.
Okay. Al?
Just a quick report on what we've been doing the last few months, what
Okay.
we've made, what we've done, where we're going, so all of this.
I didn't put one out.
Quick run through, we're up on permits, from last year, 38 more than last year, actually. And as far as fees go, let's see.
Wow.
I wrote that down, but- Yeah, we've doubled our fees from last year.
Really?
Well, the permitting schedule has changed, is that correct?
The fees?
Yes.
Yes. Well, not to where they should be, or close to where they should be.
I was gonna say, we're still one
We're
of
still
some of the
lower.
surrounding communities.
We surely are.
So you've done 172 permits so far?
Yep.
Wow.
I didn't include the ones in my drawer, I didn't put them in yet. So, we're on track. Track with that letter that got sent out to some of the businesses so far. They couldn't do them all today, obviously, because
Right.
there's entirely too many. But we'll get back on schedule there next week, get those out, hopefully get some response. So everything's looking good.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, as you know, the planning board is, after the first of the year, going to start looking at the signage.
Signage, I have that actually on my desk.
Okay, and I did tell them that I asked you to, just write down what works, what doesn't work, what you feel might be better, to give them an idea, because you work with it, we don't.
Right.
So if you would get that done, because I know after the new year starts, and we're going to schedule some public hearings to invite all the downtown businesses to come in and give us their input too, so that we can work on something that will be reasonable for the town, but yet,
Right.
and much easier to enforce than what
Enforce,
we have now. So if you could do that, it certainly would be a big help, and they would get to see what works and what doesn't.
Okay. Is your report?
Is that all? Did you have
Yep,
anything
I'm
else?
good.
Catherine wanted to wait till she got to, she had to say.
Let's hold off and we'll take, Mr. Apple is here, and then we can just do selectmen's reports and go home.
Hallelujah.
Come on up.
Make it quick.
I'm not usually a religious.
She didn't really say
guy,
that.
but-
Thank you for having me. I've got a great solution to the problem I think we all know.
Okay,
Wonderful.
Are you gonna move
You
the-
laugh, but I'm pretty confident.
Hey, I'm hopeful. Good, good,
Confident we got this thing lit.
good.
sounds great.
Yes.
So I've created a letter, I got a copy for each of you. And I'm just pretty much gonna read down through that.
Okay.
It's pretty much what I got to say, and then we can go back and talk about the individual items. Okay. Dear Board of Selectmen, I'm here today to help negotiate a resolution for the safety issues that the town is concerned with at 307 Main Street. Number one, the barricades hurt my business. I didn't come here to whine, but I just want to state this in this little first paragraph. The barricades give people the impression that they are not supposed to go to my store. The barricades will force people to go to another store who were intending to go to my store. Time is of the essence. Every day that the barricades are up, my business declines. At the Selectmen's meeting on 11/3/11, a motion was passed, all in favor, to remove the barriers directly in front of the building once the flags and sign are in place to block the 3 parking spots, and accepted by the Board of Selectmen. The flags and signs were installed and approved by the Board of Selectmen on 11/4/11 as a temporary solution while a permanent solution is worked out. The temporary flags and signs have been maintained and have worked successfully to keep people from parking in the spaces in front of the building. In bold are the things I'm asking you guys for tonight. I'm asking the Selectmen to remove the barricades directly in front of the building, just those barricades, the one directly in front of the building, where the approved temporary flags are located and functioning properly as approved on 11/4/11. Number 2, it's my understanding the town is concerned with 2 issues regarding traffic safety at 307 Main Street. A, vehicles entering and exiting the parking lot onto Main Street and at the beginning of Prospect Street. Proposed solution, property owner to install pressure-treated guardrail on his property approximately 6 inches from the property line on his property.
starting at a point in line with the corner of the building and the property line running along Main Street, stopping 3 feet from the curb at the light pole. And then starting at a point 3 feet from the curb at the light pole and running along the property line at Prospect Street. See plan attached. Time is of the essence. I'm asking the Board of Selectmen to approve this effective solution tonight, enabling me to coordinate this work with Mr. Cropsey immediately. Every minute that the barricades are up, my business declines. B would be the second safety hazard that I'm aware of. Vehicles crossing the sidewalk to park in the parking spaces directly in front of the building. Proposed solution, property owner to black out the white lines delineating the three parking spots in front of the building, effectively removing these 3 parking spaces. Property owner to install a no parking sign on the front of the building. Time is of the essence. I'm asking the Board of Selectmen to approve this effective solution tonight, enabling me to coordinate this work with Mr. Cropsey immediately. My store is an asset to the community. I've made considerable improvements to the building, including the storefront, which has greatly improved the looks of the building, which benefits the entire downtown area. The solutions that I have proposed tonight remove the hazards that the town is concerned with. The solutions are reasonable and practical and can be implemented quickly. My business will continue to decline as long as the barricades exist. I will not be able to absorb the financial burden of a declining business for very long. I ask the Board of Selectmen to approve these solutions.
I think there's gonna be an issue though, where the state already approved something from the put up there, and he had on Route 3.
But I think we have to just take a step back, because you have a good solution.
Thank you.
I mean, you do. However, this is your solution and not the property owners. And there's no guarantee for us to sit here and say, you know what, it's a great solution, go forth and create, because we've been in negotiations for 8 or 9 months now in good faith to try to work out something, because we feel that it is a good business, it's a great asset to the town, and you know, in good faith, we wanted to work together, and that all of a sudden just abruptly stopped. So I'm not sure if the property owner is on board with this. So.
I can comment on that if you like.
Sure.
I've been in touch with Mr. Cropsey 972 times, exaggerating over the course of the last 13 months, to try and get him to the table with you guys to come up with a solution. He's met with me, he's showed me all the different solutions, and quite frankly, it seems like a bunch of wheels spinning and getting nowhere, is what I've seen. And I can understand the frustration of this board, because I have a similar frustration. So what I'm trying to do is get a solution and implement it, and not look back at all the wheel spinning that's gone on in the last 13 months. That's what I'm trying to do. I've met with Mr. Cropsey today. I went over this letter with him specifically. I talked to him before that last week, you know, after I spoke with you. I've talked to him a few times, saying, you know, Jim, I'm willing to go and get a solution that everybody can live with, and do my best and work with the selectmen, but you gotta be there, you gotta be behind me, and you know, give me the green light once they give us a green light. I said, we gotta be ready to go. And I gotta give him cost estimates for the work, you know, I've done everything. I spoke with him about 3 hours ago, went through the whole letter with him. I said, no, I don't wanna go sit there and look like a fool and present this to the selectmen, and then have you say, no, and start spinning wheels again. I said, if I'm gonna spend my time, which I put about 30 hours into preparing for this meeting tonight, and getting things ready and trying to get what I think you guys want together, so that we can implement it and get it done. So Mr. Cropsey is on board, and I can sit here tonight and say that if you guys approve this, I'm gonna make sure that it gets done. I'm gonna talk to Mr. Cropsey. I am not gonna let this thing just keep spinning, wasting your time, our time, and declining business at my store. A lot of energy's gone into this and not gotten anywhere the last 13 months, and I'd like to get somewhere.
The state will not want the fence.
Right.
His driveway permit, well, he doesn't have a driveway permit. That's the point. There is no ingress and egress that was granted to that property from the New Hampshire Department of Transportation to access Route 311. So the state of New Hampshire is requiring him to put some sort of barrier up that prevents cars from accessing Route 311 from that area.
This doesn't?
Well, I can tell you that my conversations with them last Friday was they do not want any permanent structure that close to the right-of-way. Your diagram shows a fence along the edge of the town's right-of-way sidewalk. And did it say 6?
So I think what Catherine is saying, that the permanent
6 inches.
structure,
Pressure-treated guardrail.
the permanent structure should be more in line with this here and not close to the road, because DOT does not want fencing there. So,
DOT, District 3, Mark Morrill, has already given him a design for what they would like to see for a barrier, Cape Cod barrier, whatever, some sort of device that keeps cars from going there. The other issue I have, I'm not sure if the other selectmen share that, one of my issues is the town's right-of-way sidewalk has been moved sometime in the past year. Where it is today is not where it has been for the past 100 years or so. We have blueprints from the state of New Hampshire showing, in particular, 1936, when they took the Daniel Webster Highway, or actually back then it was the Daniel Webster Road, and made it the Daniel Webster Highway, State Highway, which clearly shows the sidewalk on the north sides of the light poles, not basically in the right-of-way of Route 311. The realignment of the Park Street intersection, the railroad track work also shows the sidewalk, and that was much more recent.
So is there something going on in the works with the state to?
No, this is
Forget
our
it.
right-of-way. These blueprints simply are evidence of where that sidewalk has been and should be today. We did not move the sidewalk.
Somebody painted a line, it became the sidewalk.
And then what
That's not
happened is,
necessarily where the sidewalk is, we didn't paint the sidewalk line.
and then the road agent just came along.
I didn't paint the sidewalk.
I know you didn't, I know you didn't.
Did you paint it? You were good.
No one's guilty here at this table.
But if
It's
you-
not Aaron.
So, one of the things, the point I'm making is, I personally would like to see our pedestrians out of Route 3. If you stand there and watch, especially tractor trailer trucks and buses come across Park Street and turn west, they're in the sidewalk. It's not safe.
Okay, I agree with that. However, my business is being affected with barricades, and I don't have any control over the sidewalk. I can't do anything to relocate the town sidewalk. There's nothing, not one thing I can do. I can do something to stop the safety concerns that started all this.
but if you have your fencing down here instead of here, there's no hope for ever resolution on the sidewalk.
Well, it's just pressure-treated wood sticking out of the ground. You take the sawzall and cut it off real quick.
State of New
But
Hampshire
the other-
Department of
That
Transportation,
could be
District
changed.
3, will not go for a fence.
Well, I see the sidewalk issue taking a long, long time to resolve. There's lots of old plans, and there's lots of things you guys are gonna have to do, and you have to meet with crop seed, more wheel
Right.
spinning, and lots of things. To get that sidewalk moved, I see a lot
I'm
of
not
stuff.
even talking about the sidewalk, I mean,
Yeah, we're
he
just
kept
talking
telling you
about
that
what's
he
in the
has a
system.
design from New Hampshire Department of Transportation, District 3, about what type of barrier they wanna see
Right.
between Route 311 and his parking lot.
And
I
that
have
was,
a question.
that was,
Is that the one that I picked up?
that's
the
what they
plan
came, right, that's what
Yeah,
they
that's
came
their
up with.
design.
That's their design, that's not ours.
Right, but that takes a lot of time. That's easements, it's taking its property value, the property's gonna want its property, to put the sidewalk over there. And I just want a peaceful resolution to come up.
Again, I'm not even talking about moving the sidewalk, I'm talking about what type of barrier New Hampshire Department of Transportation, District 3 wants to see between their right-of-way, our right-of-way, and his parking lot. And it's not a fence.
Right.
So any negotiations you wanna do to change that design would have to take place with District 3.
I have a question. What is to prevent him from putting a fence on his property?
Up here, nothing.
There you go. That blocks off the
But he's-
parking
he's
lot.
not-
That successfully
It's down,
without dealing with anything else that successfully prevents cars from coming onto Route 3 from that parking lot, correct? That takes care of our safety issue. As far as the issue with the DOT and the sidewalk and all of that stuff, that's a separate issue. If this guy's out of business, the issue is moot, because there won't be any problem with cars going in and out of there, because there won't be anybody there.
Well,
the issue though, Joe, is if you have, there's a couple of things that are going on with the state in safety and us in safety, is that what Jim would really like it to be is down here, cars can still come in here. They have to back out.
They wouldn't go through there, and we could always do something after the fact, one
But-
call it in the center.
but that's
right?
really not something that we can control. That clearly, that area where those parking lot
Is Jim's,
spaces exist, is
land.
his property.
right,
Right.
As long as cars do not cross our sidewalk, because that is illegal.
right, they can be there.
He wants to, somebody with a motorcycle come around the front of the car the store and park there, that's fine, as long as they don't cross our sidewalk to get in and out of there.
And
My solution stops them from crossing the sidewalk. I think it satisfies the requirements that you guys have.
Right.
I can't do anything with the state requirements. I think this all started with you guys noticing a safety hazard.
Right.
A safety hazard that I'm aware of, that I watch daily.
right,
So, I'm definitely not arguing it as a safety hazard in both.
But as a selectman, I
And
can't.
another issue that you brought up, Catherine, is yes, the sidewalk's in a bad spot. Agreed 100%. I know nothing. I can't come up with solutions for that. I can't talk about it. I have no way to help with that issue.
And I agree, and that, I just throw that out there as one of the issues. But as a
Not that I wouldn't
selectman,
want, and I
As
would
a
help give
selectman,
input if it was
I'm not gonna
wanted.
sit here and agree to a plan of a fence that I know circumvents what New Hampshire DOT has said they wanna see there.
right.
That's something that's gonna be mediated with them.
But New Hampshire DOT doesn't necessarily, I think they're just trying to help satisfy what you guys want. I don't think they have any
Oh, no,
strict
they have an
concerns.
issue, because I was down there twice with them, no, I've been down there 3 or 4 times with them. And the first time, they were quite surprised as they stood there and had to move out of the way for cars accessing Route 311 from that parking lot. And I can tell you right now that both Bill Rollins and Mark Morrow were speechless. And both of them said that can't happen, that
So
cannot continue.
some type of satisfactory berm or bollards placed from the pole to the corner of the building, stopping them from ingress and egress out of the parking lot to Main Street, based on what they say is acceptable, could be a resolution.
Well, I looked at bollards, and I mentioned that on the phone last week, but bollards are gonna be ugly. And the guardrail thing is so effective, it does everything. It stops everything from happening that we're concerned with.
So maybe DOT will go with it. All I'm saying is, that conversation needs to be with them.
It's their road.
I think that,
Well, then why is it your barricades that are up?
Because
Why is
Because
it
we're
there?
protecting our sidewalk.
Well, why don't you approve this for me so I can protect our pedestrians?
That's what we're doing.
Why don't you let me do it with a permanent solution that addresses it?
Well, the only thing like Kathy.
even if, let's back up here for a second, and I think that this is important. Even if we were the ones to put up some type of permanent, which is what we voted to do last week, to put up a permanent structure and not the ugly sawhorses that are there. We voted to put up a permanent structure. Even if we were the ones to do that, we still have to get an okay from the state. It can't be a fence. And I think that's what Catherine is trying to tell you. We cannot do what the state doesn't want us to do either. So we have to work together on that.
Okay,
We have to
so
find a solution to what's acceptable from them to do that.
would you guys be willing to give this an approval pending me getting approval from the state? Please.
I wouldn't give any kind of pending approval for the barricade that you've discussed along the parking lot. Because it's
Leaving
not
those
our,
sawhorses up.
it's not our purview,
terrible.
it's not our place. Our sawhorses are there to protect the sidewalk. The state of New Hampshire Department of Transportation has many more issues than protecting our sidewalk. sight distance, plowing, et cetera, et cetera. I can't sit here and second guess why they didn't want us to put up bollards, why they designed the barrier they did.
And
That's
where they
their
did it.
territory.
And where they did it, and I think that's important, because
They were specific.
they worked days with Jim on, in the highway director, where that is going to go. The location, and the location ended up being here on the map
Right.
instead of down there, and that's
Which
for a
takes out a
reason.
whole bunch of parking lot. That's a concern for me, because it reduces the size of our parking lot considerably. That's my concern with that. And
Obviously, he didn't
Jim-
talk to you about it then.
What's that?
Obviously, he didn't talk to you about the plan that he went with the state in our.
Well, the zigzag sidewalk with us coming out, zigzagging out by the road and then out, he ran that one by me, but then that last one came, with you guys' letter saying, do this work and let me know when it's done. That's when I saw that plan. So, the plan going straight off the corner of the building with the sidewalk is a great plan for the sidewalk. It's a bad plan for, maximizing our parking space. We're losing the spots up front. We've already lost.
You never had,
Never had spots.
never had them.
Well, in my world, okay,
You never had
they
them.
existed.
You thought they did when
They
you moved
existed.
in.
Right.
They were there, people were parking in them before I leased the space.
Right,
So in my perspective, Catherine, in all due
Right.
respect, was that those parking spots existed.
right.
I understand.
You were misrepresented, okay.
I understand. Well, no, people were parking. I saw
Breaking the
cars
law,
parked
doing
there.
it.
I don't disagree with you. But perspective, it's just my perspective. So, from what I originally had in my head, this is a great space, we got this parking, this parking, this parking. You take the 3 spots up front and take those away from my perspective, and then you move the sidewalk back 8 feet, and you take more parking and the whole visual around the corner from the parking lot to the front of the store. And it creates a hardship for my business for using the parking lot. So,
Are you saying,
I'm not,
Mr. Rapp, that people were parking, or you intend for them to park in that space behind the fence?
yeah.
They
behind
don't
the
do it
fence.
now.
Yeah.
They park along the edge of this building.
That is the primary go-to spot, is along the building. When that spot gets filled up, occasionally you'll see somebody by the light pole. Occasionally, I'll
Over
back
here.
my truck in to
I've
take
seen
trash
that,
out.
yep.
I don't see where, I'm having a hard time visualizing how we're cutting away from your parking lot on that map. Because we haven't moved where the original, state came up with the plan. We haven't moved that at all.
I've never
That's-
even seen the state thing.
That is, the only thing that we asked was a smoother transition on either end of the sidewalk. So the berm and the berm on Prospect
Oops, I'm
Street,
sorry. Is that the final plan that you guys look for?
no,
That's the one I picked up from your office.
no, that's not correct.
Which one is that?
This one,
I've never seen that one either.
There might have been something.
no, that's not it at all.
Yeah.
No, the plan is, hold on a minute.
Well, that's what I've been going by, and that takes, so cars cannot park past that blue spot on there, which takes away 8 feet of parking lot here. So with my design, we get the capture parking, and those would be diagonal spots. This would actually be handicapped, this first one, with a hash mark here for, 8 foot to the right of a handicapped people to get in and out, so.
But this sidewalk line actually goes into the light pole. You go down there.
Right, it does, it's within,
I'm there every day.
it's
So,
within
well,
inches
then
of the
this is
light pole,
deceiving.
so it's very deceiving
And
on
it's
that,
supposed to be over here.
right.
What if we, came up with some kind of a plan, if we ran, and I would say, kind of like what we have areas right now, corn sitting in buckets,
With
sand.
caution tape,
No,
that's
no,
worse.
no.
No, not caution tape, I mean, we could run a chain or a rope or
Okay,
something,
here's the,
just along there, on a temporary basis while he does.
this is the
state.
plan, and we asked,
Those barricades
we
are
asked that it
priceless.
come up
And it,
I-
quite
This
frankly, I'm
transition is
embarrassed to
smoothed
say
out
it
a
had
little
anything to
bit.
do with it.
so that
I
it kinda
agree
lines
with
up a
you that
little bit
there
with
are
this, and that's it.
Where did this one come from?
It's
I
just
don't know.
probably a drawing, somebody was drawing and just pulled it out, but
'Cause that's the one Jim had sent me, and
This
this is the
is-
one I got from your office the other day.
this is the one Jim came in with, and this is, and this is future parking that he would like to have us petition the state with, and this is
You
a
have a copy of
berm,
the state plan?
no, here's the,
That apparently we have, but I've never
right,
seen
here's
it.
the berm here that he wanted, right, and then over here. So we asked that instead of coming here, here, and up, that it just made a smoother transition
Where he
there.
puts it maybe,
Because they've.
So we didn't wanna take any more of the parking lot here at all.
Right,
extends to
right,
the
I mean,
riverbank.
my thing keeps
So-
varying
Right
there,
of
but this
way,
takes
and our
3 or 4
sidewalk
feet
is
for the
right
sidewalk,
away
whatever it is,
over
5 feet
his
maybe, you know,
property.
and that.
But you gain it here.
Right, that I wouldn't.
Right, so if you're gaining this in the
That's
front,
fine with me.
Our
but
right of
this
way
isn't-
for
I
our
don't think this is
sidewalk
what Jim
has
had.
been
This
moved
isn't
by
one.
him.
this is what he gave
I
us.
believe.
But then the one I got, the final one, shows it going straight across, which that takes out another
I don't
5
know,
feet.
I think that was a
Hold on
long,
just one
long
second.
time ago.
Excuse me.
Too many conversations.
Yeah, there's too many conversations. I think a long time ago, that was in the plan, original brainstorming plan, maybe almost 6, 7 months ago, when they started brainstorming with DOT.
So is this plan with the sidewalk still on the same plane it is now, but not raised?
Yes, it's not a raised sidewalk.
Because it's
No,
drainage.
It's not a raised sidewalk at all.
I mean,
it's
raised would be
painted.
good to protect the children, but.
Right, it's painted. And this would have been the berm here, and then here, which is proposed, and what we wanted to do is on this side of the sidewalk, have the berm right at the edge of the sidewalk.
Catherine, is this what you understand that the state has approved?
Joe has it. That Cape Cod berm is
Mark
marked
Cod
right
berm
in.
there and there, but the state is proposing it that he puts it in what you claim to be our sidewalk.
Right.
Well, but that's an issue that can be solved
That,
now
Unless
or
he wants to
later.
start it tomorrow.
right.
No, you know what, where the sidewalk
So
is,
that's what the state's approved?
Yes,
that came from the state, that didn't
Yeah.
come from us.
So it's just a berm,
right.
just the inside, just right where I show my guardrail, it's a
Exactly,
berm.
exactly. Which could be a,
Let's
which could
put
be,
that out in the morning.
we could be,
Yeah, you know, we've been waiting for it for months.
I don't like it because there's nothing vertical, people are gonna continue driving because they're used to driving.
Well, we had suggested to add signs.
You know,
and
Signs are good, signs
do
are good.
not- You know, do not enter sidewalk, something.
Yeah, or if I want to go out to the bar and have something, they would please enter on Prospect Street with an arrow.
Something.
He calls the state plan, it's right in the middle of what happens. This
It's
is
a
our
whole
sidewalk.
different.
But we're,
Man, I
you
spent
know,
30 hours looking at this thing.
if we decide to pursue moving the sidewalk back to where we feel it's, well, where the DOT
I really
plans
just-
show, that's a future thing.
It is,
And this
thank you.
little berm thing, this little berm thing and signs,
I wasn't understanding.
Right.
You said it doesn't take less than two
it doesn't, anything. And also, in future, for future reference,
And I
he
think-
would like to come to us and petition for 3 parking spaces here, for us to
In the
petition the
future.
state, in the future.
Not
Correct.
deal with what we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
So we can
Until
function
we get
properly.
this-
think of how easily that berm and those signs could be moved if we decided to wanna
So,
move the sidewalk.
this is,
Done.
right,
Yeah.
so you see the original.
Okay, so I honestly think there's a misunderstanding with Mr. Crops who generated this letter saying we're not doing anything last
He
week. I think
took
there's a
this.
misunderstanding.
He took this,
Is this yours or mine?
That's
come in and propose this to us. This is his proposal to us, just before he went on vacation.
One of them.
I should have jumped in a long time ago, I'm sorry. Could I have a copy of that plan?
Oh, I thought he gave, here.
There you go. I just put-
And the only thing, they said they would.
So this is from the state.
Cape Cod berm.
Yep,
That's from the state.
That doesn't
and
make
if you
sense
can
to
see,
me.
And what we
The opening
suggested,
here-
Arbitrary thing is
Walter,
that.
is just enough for your,
So your
delivery
your
and-
letter that you wrote to him saying, let us know when this work's done and y'all signed it,
exactly, exactly.
was to do this work.
That's correct.
And all we asked was to
Gotta be a
add,
misunderstanding.
That's
all
all.
we
all
asked
Pretty
were to
cheap.
put some signs there, as you said,
I sign a letter.
because that's not gonna, the berm's not gonna
Does
stop
Mr.
people.
Cropsey have an ulterior motive that you guys?
I don't
I have
know.
no idea. We don't,
Don't
we were
try to go
totally,
there.
we were
Okay.
we were totally unaware of the letter. He was on the agenda for 5 o'clock to come in and let us know that this is a final
He actually
thing.
emailed me a copy of this plan, you know, a few days before.
I don't know where that is not our plan. I can tell you that is not
You
our
guys-
plan.
This is the one, the state.
That's the one that he met with Mark Morrill and Dennis Allen, and they spent hours on that
Add some
plan.
signs, and we're happy.
Seriously?
But we can't, I will tell you though, I'm not in favor of taking those cross horses down until we've got something in place.
Okay, but I'd like,
Well-
on my first part of my letter, I'd like to ask you to take him down just in front of the building.
I
How
think,
about if we just take them down?
In
And let
front
my
of the-
flags do their job.
I think if you add the no parking signs, once those no parking signs went up, I'd say take them in.
Well, I'd like to ask you to take them down now, and I'll order a no parking sign. We had an agreement a year ago, my flags have done good, I spent money on them, they've been functioning properly. I'd like to ask you to just in front of the building, not at
Except-
the parking lot.
The problem is, Freehill has not been putting them up.
We
They're,
took control of that after Al brought me, you know, you guys had a complaint in September.
Recently, they have, the
And-
last half a
And we
dozen
took
times
control
I've
of them,
been
we were
by
letting him
them.
take them in and out, those two end ones. That didn't work out. Someone took them, the poles got broken, they're temporary poles, it's maintenance. I took care of it that day out. And I take care of it other days that it's happened, the one when you didn't catch it and I caught it. But they've been effective, and I'd like you to give me a little bit of victory in just
they have,
Just-
you know,
taking those ones down just in front.
gotta
And
tell
I'll
you
get
that-
the no parking sign on the building, but it's gonna take me a little time. I'd like to get those.
Chief?
Yeah.
What would you suggest wording for those no parking signs in front of that building that would include some verbiage about no parking on sidewalk or
so that you can
sidewalk,
enforce
no
it.
parking, or what could we put there that would help as a warning to make it clear to people, don't cross the sidewalk, because if you do, you're
Violators
gonna
will
get
be
ticketed.
towed.
No, just,
Well, we intend to black out the lines, so they're not delineated parking spots.
right, but now
For
you're gonna
starters.
break the habit of people who have been parking there.
Which gives the visual
No
that there
parking,
was a
stopping,
parking
or
space
standing.
there. Human
You know.
nature, if
No
you give the
parking,
visual,
stopping,
they
or
will.
standing.
Nothing.
Did you hear that? No parking, stopping, or standing is the
Just-
suggestion of the chief. How does everybody feel about that?
So it's not even drop off, just eliminate that
No
right
parking,
stopping or standing.
stopping, or standing.
Mhm.
And these are going in front of, and you're gonna, in summary, you're gonna work on getting Mark Morrow's plan in place on the Main Street side and the Prospect side, and then in front of, am I understanding correctly? In front of where the parking lot is, it's no parking, no standing.
Well, he wants the barriers down in front of the store, so that's where those signs would be.
And the signs could continue along with it.
Right,
Berm
and
is-
as he puts up his berm thing, you know, then it could go on, but, I mean, for now, he's
Sign
asking
poles, So they
us,
see a visual.
right, he's asking us to let him, to take down the barriers in front of the store itself, and then.
Where the flags are.
Right. He'll put the signs up, and then over here, you know, I feel that he'll probably need at least a day. He'll want to sit down with Mark Morrow, make sure that whatever they're going to do, the state will approve of, so that they don't have to.
Yeah, I wanna
undo.
confirm some of these dimensions and things, you know,
So-
back, distance back from the
Right.
property line or sidewalk line or whatever they
You
want.
might not be able to get a hold of Mark Morrell, so you can talk with Bill Rollins if you
Yeah,
call over
either
there.
one,
It's 524-6667.
Is that the best bet?
yes,
Captain
Bill
Bill
Rollins, yes.
Mark is just
What is that
He's
phone
up.
number?
524-6667. Mark is just out straight. He's all over the district.
6, 7, okay, so,
Bill's.
That's District 3 DOT.
They're up in Guilford.
So,
I just want, you know, the little notes on here and arrows I can't make out, so I'm gonna wanna get a clean copy from him and look
Right.
at it and just make sure it's all set.
Right.
but now,
Does,
what if we let him?
so that's good, I'm going forward with that, there's no reason not to, you guys have issued a letter to Cropsey saying do it.
Yeah.
So that's all set to go. We
So,
don't need site plan review from the planning board, we don't need,
No.
we got everything we need.
Yeah.
And the letter from you guys tells us that's what we need. Okay.
Yeah.
and that keeps the pedestrians safe.
Yep.
And that keeps Main Street vehicle traffic coming in and scooting across the head of it. Prospect Street on that side, that keeps that accident from not happening. So, I mean, it's all around a win situation.
I'm a big fan.
I don't have an issue taking the sawhorses down in front of the flags if the flags continue to be the deterrent.
I assure you they will.
Well, I think he should.
I do think that they still should remain there until the berm is up here. It's up to, I don't know.
I think they should stay by the parking lot.
I agree.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I agree.
Yeah, you know, we don't have to
It
tell you.
doesn't look pretty, it's not great for business, but the more we can get done, the better it is for business. So the
Right.
ones in front, if we could get those done. it'd be
Right
great.
there.
Anytime.
All right, well,
Can you just email that to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your email address, and he can email it right over to you.
Right.
Motion to
Walter, what's
remove
your
the
email?
crossbucks in front of the stores at 307 Main Street as long as the flags are placed every day.
As a deterrent.
But the crossbucks from the edge of the building to the light pole by the parking lot will remain until the berm is,
So there's no
and the
cross,
signs are installed.
so there's no cross traffic. I'll second that. Is there any more discussion on that? Joe?
I'm not even gonna start. I'm not gonna, nothing I've got to say is gonna change any of your minds, so my vote is my vote, and that's it.
Well, I'd like to know what you think.
I think it's ludicrous to take a hand sketch that somebody made and make that okay. To make it okay to put a berm in the middle of what we know to be our sidewalk, and then to allow flags along the front of the building which were only supposed to be temporary until we reached a deal. Look, I didn't even want to start this. That's my general thinking, and
But this is the DOT's plan.
this is Mark Morrow drew something on a piece of paper.
And then met with them down there.
Yeah.
And
He's
and
met
the
with them
road
several
agent.
times.
Do we have anything from the DOT, or do we have this thing that Mark Morrow drew on a piece of paper?
Well, I was down there at that meeting with that paper.
With Dennis
That he went
Allen.
over with Dennis Allen and the property owner,
Right,
and
with the
it was
property
very
owner.
clear to them what DOT wanted to see
They
there.
all agreed on it. They all
Right.
came to the agreement. It wasn't, and it really
And we
was to
agreed
help
to
each other.
put the berm in the middle of the sidewalk? How could we do that?
No, the berm is
No,
not
that's-
in the middle of the sidewalk.
Berm is
Well,
not in the middle
according
of
to
the.
what I've seen, the berm is in the middle of our classic sidewalk. The sidewalk runs right along the building and goes on this side of the post. Currently, it goes on that side of the post. So if it actually goes on this side of the post, that berm is in the sidewalk.
Right, but this, moving
Right,
the
but-
sidewalk from its current location
Mm-hmm.
to this, we've always known is going to be a future
Right.
And so we're gonna allow
Arguments,
somebody to put a berm in the middle.
consideration, discussion.
A lot of work to get
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Yeah,
But in the
so we'll just have them
meantime,
build a berm in the middle of the sidewalk in the short.
well, where the sidewalk used to be located. And that berm
Okay,
is easily
I'm not
removed.
convinced of this, and you
Easily
guys
removed.
already know what you wanna do, so I'm okay. Take a vote. I'd be glad to get the barricades down. Well, you don't wanna do it.
Well, they are ugly, I can tell you what. I'll tell you what they think. But it was necessary to get to this point.
I'm just excited we're moving forward
I
finally.
am too.
I can't thank you
apologize, I
enough.
should have jumped in, perhaps
Oh, you didn't know, we didn't know either.
We'll turn for you later.
All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there any more discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion is approved.
Can I just ask for clarification?
This,
So you're gonna take the barricades down in front of the building, I'm gonna maintain the flags?
that's correct. And from the corner of your building to the light pole, the barricades stay,
And on Prospect.
and on Prospect.
How soon can we expect the signs in the front of the building?
I gotta order them, don't know, a couple weeks probably. I'm gonna write 2 weeks on my notes, the order signs in there.
Is it least expensive for the town to order and then have Mr. Apps donate the money?
How long will it take us? I don't, what is it usually,
Oh, the non-reflective aluminum at 1230, reflective aluminum 1619.
but what's the time frame in getting them?
Within a week. Yeah.
Within a week?
You can,
You're okay with them fastened to the front of the building? Move them?
if you, yeah, Walter, if you come over here after, I'll give you the website.
Do you, are you okay with fastening to the building? Or do they have to be on a pole
No, that's okay, the building's okay.
in front of the building?
There's a good spot centered between Rick's door and my door, and then there's a good spot beyond Rick's door, where they stretch it. Okay.
They'd have to be on something on the berm in between your building.
Yeah, those are gonna need poles, and I'll
Right,
get this confirmed with
Okay.
Mark Rollins.
Bill Rollins,
Bill Rollins,
Mark Morrow.
I got it written down, thank God, I'm getting all the order now. I'll get all this stuff confirmed, because there's a bunch of notes there that I can't read.
Yep.
But I don't need to come to see you guys again to implement what's on it. is my
If you
understanding.
have questions, we're around.
Dennis Allen also was at that meeting with DOT when they hashed out berms and
The
sizes
final.
and configurations, et cetera, et cetera. He might be a help to you.
Right.
This number, if you want it, is 286-4721.
I'll give you yours.
Yeah. Hers is very close to it. I always call her instead of Dennis.
And his name is Dennis Allen.
So to go forward with this plan, we don't need a building permit, anything, we've
No.
got the letter from you guys already.
Yes.
that you sent
He's
to
already
Propsy.
done a building permit for,
Right.
a driveway curb cut.
He's done all
for
that already.
Prospect, so that's done.
Do any of these notes say anything about the signs?
It was just,
It just talks
that
about
was
the
just an
berm.
agreement.
That's right.
The Prospect side of that is from Dennis Allen. That is the town. His berm on Prospect Street side, yeah, that is Dennis's.
Okay. No, I know he was concerned with plowing and stuff.
Right.
Right.
Well, it's
So
the
you
driveway
might-
cut
you
too.
might
It's
make
the
him-
ingress and egress of the
Yeah, you
driveway
might make
cut.
him your first stop.
All right, so,
That's also to control part of the opening of the ingress and egress. Am I not,
Yeah.
am I
Just to
correct in
prevent
that?
cars from crossing over in
Yeah,
front of
plenty
stop
people there
traffic
at
on
the stoplight.
Prospect Street.
Well,
I
I'll
have
tell
to
you,
laugh
one
at
car did it
myself.
a week or so ago. One car did exactly that when I was at the lights, and there were a group of 4 kids trying to get across the street. And I was so glad that they actually swerved into your parking lot, because they would have hit the 4 kids. But it's a terrible
my big
situation.
concern with just the berm is that people are gonna drive over it, damage their cars, and then
That's why the sign is.
get some signs or 2 signs, you have to have the barricades, can come down tomorrow.
And, you know, we'll speak with Dennis.
Sorry, hold on, I gotta write my steps here. Barricades down in the morning, Walter,
We will
State.
contact Dennis in the
will take
morning.
Yeah.
Catherine, contact Dennis in the morning
Yeah,
to
he said he
take
would be calling.
take the berms down only in front of the store. From the corner to the light pole, they stay, and from, on the Prospect side, Prospect Street side, they stay. Okay.
Do you guys want me to come back next Thursday and report where we're at, or just kinda go
Only
get
if
it
you're
done?
delayed.
What's that?
I
Might be
feel only
delayed.
if you're
Oh,
delayed.
there's a problem, okay,
Um,
excellent.
Call if you have any questions. We can
Thanks, guys.
certainly resolve them before Thursday if you have them.
All right.
Most of us are around.
We're staying on this.
This is good.
Should've jumped in 8 months ago.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Now I know.
All right, I need to see you in my office.
Oh my God.
All right.
One more.
Thank you so
The
much.
chief needs to see me, and he's got a gun on him that I know
Just,
Go good,
Doesn't
go with the
look
guy
like
with the
it.
gun.
give me
Al's gun is in his office, so
of. Dash. PCS,
Are you
Peter,
okay
Charlie,
with that?
Sally, PCS.
continuing on?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Alpha
You're
dash
right.
PCS at live
Right click on.
.com. Good.
Send it to you.
Send me the website.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you all.
all right,
Thank
thank you,
Oh,
have a good night.
Good night.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, I have, yes, another request for paid time off that needs to be discussed in a 5-minute. They, did you already do your report?
Nope, I was waiting for you.
Oh. Got it.
Daniel Webster Highway, the Causeway. I wrote it down, so if you have any questions, you can ask me after, but I'll read this. The state project that built the causeway took place in 1936. Previous to that project in 1936, that was a town road called the Daniel Webster Road. After the project, it became a state highway. The state highway reclassification system wasn't instituted until 1945, however. Normally, the reclassification process would have automatically transferred the segment of Daniel Webster Highway to the town as a Class 6 road. But only those portions of the highway that were actively used after the 1936 project became part of the state highway system. So the town's public right-of-way just kind of sat there as a public right-of-way and not necessarily classified as any type of road because, again, classification system didn't exist. On March 9th, 1948, the annual town meeting in Article 15 voted to discontinue the causeway on Daniel Webster Highway. The discontinuance process has been in existence since the early 1800s and essentially undoes the established town right-of-way. In 1972, the New Hampshire DOT Commissioner, at the request of a property owner, quitclaimed a deed to the property to one of the property owners. That deed was never recorded, even though the state had no ownership of the discontinued piece after the 1936 project. I talked to a fellow in the right-of-way division, and he said there were a couple of those that took place, and it was just due to the confusion of the reclassification that, and the 1936 project, and the highway system in 1945, those dates, so that would often happen. So essentially, with the town's vote to discontinue the right-of-way of the land, that released it from any public right to use it. So that property has actually been owned by those property owners since that 1948 vote.
And this is in front of the anchorage where it goes down and up?
No, this is the causeway.
Which is, oh, this is
Between roadway and
roadway in
Roadway in.
South Bay.
Oh, okay, got it.
Cottage Drive is another issue.
Okay, all right, so the road, so
So
we
let's
can't
do
do,
one at a time. We
Yep.
don't own that causeway thing
Nope, we
at
haven't
all.
since 1948.
Have we informed the individuals that were concerned yet?
No,
So
I'm just bringing it to the
we
board now.
can't put a barrier over there if they.
No, we need to go get our barriers, we need to,
That's,
But it's
that's,
not open.
it's their issue.
It's
it's
their
it's
home,
their property.
and they're anxious to fix it and couldn't fix it because there was
Right.
questions about whose road it was.
Right,
Turns out his road, have at it, Tony. Yes?
No,
it's all of
it's
them,
all of theirs.
right.
So whoever it is,
It isn't ours,
it's not ours.
it's theirs to hash out. It's a civil issue, it has nothing to do with the town, at least not since 1948.
So I think that we need to get a letter to them, to all of the abutters around that causeway, and let them know that we don't own it, that they own it, and we'll take the barriers down, and go ahead.
Isn't there a process for once a road is discontinued, that the abutting property, because with the state of the town has a right of way on these backwoods road, but if we do away with that, then the property lines come out to the center line or whatever, and that becomes theirs to the center line, or the other side if they own the other side?
Yeah,
Is that
generally,
fair?
it depends on if the road was laid out, or if it's prescriptive. This road happens to be prescriptive.
So the property, it goes with the property that abuts it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those boundary lines are, you know,
So
because remember, it is only a public right of way. That Daniel Webster Road, before the state came in 1936, was a public right-of-way
Mhm,
over
So
someone else's property.
mhm.
should we ask Dennis to take the barrier down tomorrow, or should we send a letter out and then take the barriers down?
I'd send a letter out letting them know,
That this is
That-
what we found in our
And
research?
that-
Warriors
and
on
then
his
give them a
property, why are we
date.
waiting?
and then give them a date, because I think we do need to be,
We
people have,
gotta let them, I think,
we have
Joe,
been maintaining it all these
right, I
years
think
as
the intent
ours.
is the safety issue.
Right.
You really don't wanna just take the barrier down with no notification, and they think nothing's wrong, and all of a sudden now, they're driving down there and say, oh,
Please be advised.
They may think we
Right.
filled the hole, that's why we took the barrier
Right.
down.
Right.
I wouldn't wanna go find
All
somebody
right,
stuck in
that
the hole.
makes sense.
I wouldn't want that action on us.
Mhm.
I'd rather let them know that, please be advised that we're gonna take the barriers down, and the road is yours, and do whatever you want with it. So be it. Okay, so Cottage Drive was that,
Cottage Drive was also a vote, taken by the town. That vote was specific, it was to discontinue and the property was to revert back to the owners. There were segments of Old Route 3, during that 1936 project
Mhm.
that were, it's quite an interesting project. There were segments that were discontinued by the state, reverting back to the town. There were segments that the state purchased from abutting property owners. But Cottage Drive, was a specific, warrant article that passed, and that property was to revert back to the owners, the abutters, if you will.
so, in fairness to the residents, that we've been plowing that piece, knowing that winter is upon us now, I think that we should send a letter to them notifying them that we've done our research on Cottage Drive and that the town does not own it. We can't plow a private way,
Money to do.
therefore they have to
private
make some
road.
type of provision. Is it just one resident or two?
The
Two.
town meeting took place on March 10th, 1970, to see if the town will vote to discontinue the road known as Cottage Drive near Oriole Cabins, which is now the Anchorage, and revert the land back to the abutting owners.
So it's
That
the
passed.
first two
There's at
houses.
least two
houses.
houses at the mouth of that.
Yeah, I know
Plus,
Charlie
it's
Bell's on it.
it's always been used as a driveway area for the anchorage. So
So
the part of it belongs to the anchorage.
I feel kind of bad because it was that resident that came forth and said, could you help me out? The drainage is not draining properly, and Dennis usually skims it off a little bit each year, and now he's gonna find out, yeah, we'll help you out. We don't
Well,
own the
Dennis
road
went
anymore.
down there and dug a little ditch.
No, he
and-
did it. The
Oh, did
resident
he?
did.
Oh, cause I went down there and it had been done.
Yeah, he did it. And so now he's gonna find out that we don't own the road and we're not gonna plow it, and so
Right.
better make provisions to plow somehow
Mhm.
this winter. A little bit to swallow if you're
I know it
expecting
is.
somebody,
If you thought that it was a road and it turns out it wasn't, that,
when you're used to
That would be
having somebody to
disappointing.
plow, and all of a sudden now it's in December, you gotta
I have
find
a
somebody to
question.
plow.
During a title search, wouldn't that have come up? In
No,
theory?
Would it have come up? No,
Why
because
We
it's not.
voted to discontinue it and reverts to the abutters. Why wouldn't it come up?
probably-
Because there was no deed given.
Right, there's no deed on the road, it's a
Wouldn't
right of way.
actually need a deed under
That's
these
right.
circumstances.
That's right. So there's nothing to record,
Mhm.
so there was nothing to be found if a title search was done, because there's nothing recorded.
True enough, true enough. I'll bet it'll be on the next deed.
I think
It's
if I
your
were-
driveway, it's not a road.
Well, for example, I have a deed to John T. Dodge. Truly, that, a small parcel of land lying along the westerly side of the Daniel Webster Highway in said Tilton described as follows. So this was, he recorded a deed for that segment of property. So it is done, but it's not done in all cases. The selectmen back in 1970 probably should have formally sent the abutters letters, let them know this take place. If I'd been a property owner, I probably would have wanted something official to report.
Seeing as the property line now extends right up to the right of way on Route
Right.
2.
Right, because, you know, as happens
So
in
now they
this,
own
another
all
board
that.
of selectmen came along a few years later, by 1975, it was all forgotten, and look at poor 1948. Heck, by 1949, that was probably completely forgotten.
Something just comes into my head that puts the acreage between a rock and a hard place. They don't necessarily have an easement over that piece of property, even though characteristically it's been used as an ingress and egress to the acreage.
Well, remember, prescriptive, the road wasn't laid out, so the right-of-way was carried over across their property. If they researched old deeds, they would probably find that the property line extended over to the middle of the road somewhere, you see?
But
But
not
now-
the acreage. The people that own those two houses now own that part of the road, it used to be road, as a driveway, or whatever. They can make it into a lawn or whatever they wanna do. The acreage people just lost, a way
They
to
may,
get onto
oh, I
Route
see what you're
3.
saying,
Yeah.
another ingress and egress.
Surprise,
Well, theoretically, I suppose that's true.
if indeed they wanted to make it a lawn or put up a little hedge or
Yep.
something,
Yep.
it's their property.
Yep.
That one I was kinda sad to find.
Yeah, it
The
was.
causeway I was very happy to find.
Me too.
Anything we don't own that we no longer have to maintain is good for the residents.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, well, that
Unless you're the resident,
rectifies
the
that.
abutting resident. Are you all set, Catherine?
I am, thank you.
Okay. Joe?
Oh, yes. First off, perambulation. You don't think I've forgotten about this, but I've got a bit of a roadblock to completing the task. I have been in touch with the people from Franklin half a dozen times. There's a guy, Brian, who, he doesn't call me, he doesn't call me, he doesn't call me, then he calls me. Seems like we play phone tag because for some reason I'm in a meeting or whatever, yeah, call me back. I call him back a couple of times, leave messages, he's not in. I'm waiting, I'm calling, I'm gonna go down there and speak with Elizabeth Dragon.
Oh, she's nice.
I love Elizabeth, and nice is not necessarily the word. She's a great advocate for whatever
Yep.
place she's working
Oh,
in.
absolutely.
And I hated to drag her into this, but I think I'm gonna have to complete my task. The underground storage tank meeting is tomorrow at 9 AM. There's, site expenditure issues. We need to buy a monitor for the camera system. We voted on up to amount, which, as it turns out, didn't include the monitor, but it is what it is. We're kind of learning as we go here. And spills. We're still having spills at the gas pumps. We have an overflow preventer. We just replaced it.
I thought they replaced some unit.
They
on the
just
top.
replaced it, the backflow prevention thing, so that, you know how you're pumping gas and it goes ka-punk when it fills up?
Yeah.
That's the backflow, and apparently it was faulty. Okay, we replaced it, put in a brand new one. But what some entities are doing is they're sticking large vehicles,
And
dump
backing
trucks,
out.
fire trucks, graders, whatever it is, and I don't know who, but they're driving away with the things still inside, or they'll hang up the deal on the pump and not put their gas cap back on. There's nothing to keep the gas from spewing out. It's got a huge filler pipe on it. There's big trails of gasoline and or diesel fuel, I don't know which. But if we continue with this, we're going to have to spend a sizable amount to install a containment system so that it doesn't have the potential for running off into the watershed. So far, we've tested clean in the water, but we'll be discussing that tomorrow. And I'm curious as to whether we ever received a bill from, and I wish I'd asked Joyce. We were holding our fee until we got an agreement. Well, we've had an agreement since June 1st. But
I,
I never heard. And that was, I just wanted to double check, and I'll speak with Cheryl Soma tomorrow.
well, it should say it in our budget.
Yeah.
It doesn't say whether it's actually been paid or not,
It
does it?
says the percent paid, so it would have been paid.
Okay, I have that information, and I'll find out from Cheryl in the morning if there's an issue, no doubt. That's the basic UST thing. Catherine, I will be there. You're welcome to come as the alternate, certainly as is any resident from any of the municipalities. What was that? Oh, I went to the consortium today of the towns negotiating with MetroCast.
Yep.
We gave MetroCast a proposal. First, they gave us a sign up again sheet, and then we said, come up with a proposal, and then they gave us their proposal. And today we sat down to blend the two proposals. The issues that remain outstanding is town coverage / line extension. Going into the details of which is not a good thing. And public access and funding. And the other one was, those were the two main ones. There were various little things that we disagreed on, and we'll find resolution and what have you. Hopefully, the next meeting is on the 20th, I believe. No, 10th of January. And the next, of the consortium, and then the next MetroCast negotiation will happen on the 31st of January. And I've got Tim looking over I've sent each of you a copy of what MetroCast sent back. That's the one with all the red lines through it. There was a few language changes to that, but which I'd be happy to sit down and explain to you anytime you want, but I'll be getting cleaner copies as they become available to your hands. And are we having a non-public session?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, yes.
Make it 6. I have a question.
Okay.
All right.
6
And
and a half.
that'll take care of me for the most part.
6 and a half?
And it might work out to that. Could even go 2.
Okay, that's it for you?
Yeah.
All right, we have the senior center has a meet and greet on December 12th at 11 a.m. They would love the selectmen to attend. It's just refreshments and gathering to, it's not even for holiday, it's just to greet a lot of people that are finally finding out about the senior center.
What time is it at?
11 to noon.
What time is the meeting, is a
Okay,
private meeting? The 140? Catherine, you said you were going, do you know what time that meeting is?
I'm sorry, what?
Route 140 meeting.
Yeah, the road,
Where's log? It's a different date. Log, 12:30 to 2 on the 14th.
oh, the 14th, because Mikey's already said today was the 12th,
Well, I'll have to look at my email.
yeah,
I've got in here the 14th.
okay.
I'll check my email.
We had our craft fair, and thank you, Joe, Al, all those that contributed to it. It was a great success. We made just a hair under $400 this time around. Our hood is going to be installed at the beginning of this week coming, which means that once the hood's installed and we change out the 2-bay sink to 3-bay sink, we're eligible for our Class G license, which we will be having more meals served. Interesting, the newsletters that Sarah has been putting together, she's dropped some off down at the Bell Peabody Apartments, and when we delivered the turkey baskets to folks down there, they didn't know anything about the senior center. So this December's newsletter that went out, one of the residents in the senior center, went door to door. I covered the senior center while Sarah was at a staff meeting on Wednesday. Probably 4 out of every 5 calls I got at the senior center were from Belle Peabody, wanting to know what was, different questions about the activities going on at the senior center. So word got out that it's, there and functioning, and they all want to come. So it's very exciting news that they finally have the know-how now to come to the senior center and enjoy it.
The bus will stop there and
The
then.
bus will, all I have to do is call and they'll convene a time when we start the meals of daily. They'll convene a time where they can pick up, and then drop them off at the senior center, pick them up at the senior center, and if they wanna join in a program, leave some time, and drop them back off at Belle Peabody. So,
Very good.
yeah, I mean, I think that's very exciting. The other thing I wanted to discuss was on December 13th, we have an invitation from the senior class at Tilton School to attend their coat and tie dinner at the library. They invite folks that have been instrumental in making things happen in the community, and we were invited. It starts at 6 o'clock, which also is the time that starts our public hearing, second public hearing on the John Bernard in West Pocket Park. So I would like to suggest that next week, if at all possible, I don't know what your schedule is, that we can meet in the afternoon, open it up. There was nobody here at the public hearing on the first public hearing. If there's nobody here on the first public hearing, we close the public hearing and then go up and join in the festivities going on at the library and participate.
What day is it now?
It's on next Thursday, the 13th, at 6 o'clock.
Sure. Well, let me make sure.
So someone will have to be here.
Sure.
Some,
I'll be here.
someone, I mean, we have to have a quorum to be here at the hearing, and then right at 6 o'clock, if there's nobody here at the hearing, then we can, the hearing's closed, we can go on up there for a few minutes late, we're a few minutes late.
All right. There's a question I have about the senior center.
It is Wednesday.
Mhm.
The refrigeration issue that we discussed the other day, did that resolve itself?
Yes, it did. It did, thank you.
12:30 to 2.
Thank you.
Good.
And did you drop off the grease trap, by the way?
Yeah, I went and looked at the grease trap, it's got a big hole in it, won't work for us. I meant to tell you about
Okay.
that.
Can we pick one up? Where do we pick one up?
I've got another line on one, give me a couple days before you, they're on the internet at $150.
We'll do it.
The plastic, I talked around, plastic ones are better than the metal ones, the metal ones rust ultimately, even though they're welded, and it takes years, but the plastic ones last forever. So, and the plastic ones, I believe, are $150, so.
Okay, so I think, we need to get one, so however we need to do that, Joe. I mean, I think we have enough money to do that.
Well, if you've got time constraints, it might be to your advantage to get the $150 one. Cause I'm chasing one, and I think I got one of those type things going, but.
I have no idea what to order, so if you show me or send me the link or,
Yeah, I don't have my
Right.
machine here, but, it's, yeah. I'll show you.
Right.
I'll send
okay. So, Al, you already talked about the beer license.
Did you bring that up? No, you need to.
It's already been signed by everybody.
Yeah.
Well, not yet, everybody.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Okay, so if we quickly look over these, there's some real quick minutes that we can go through and we can just do
I'll
a,
make a motion motion to bring the minutes of October 29th, 2012 to the floor for discussion and approval.
Second?
October 29th?
What's
There's three of them all attached together.
I have two attached together in my paste stub.
What do you have? Is the second and the seventh?
I have the second and the seventh.
Yeah, this is the 29th. I was very
Okay. I'm good. It will be coming, no problem.
Okay.
I'm good with it. Is there any questions, concerns, additions?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 29th, 2012 as written.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to bring the minutes of November 2nd, 2012 to the floor for approval.
Second?
Open for discussion? Anybody? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, make a motion to bring the minutes of November 7th, 2012 to the floor for discussion and approval.
Second?
Are we, I do have a concern on this one,
Okay.
and I'm not sure what the concern is. I don't know how to word it. We ensued to rank the top three candidates of the 5 firms.
Right.
The top 3 firms were, the top 3 firms based on our needs, or are we putting we're putting a, I don't know, a judgment, if you would, on ranking the top 3 candidates, and I don't want people to read this 20 years from now and say, who are we to rank the top 3 candidates? And
May I suggest that we just put, discussion ensued on all the candidates, and the board agreed to enter into contract negotiations with Purdue Associates,
okay,
as they were the most familiar with the project and knowledgeable of the fund. So just eliminate that whole part where it talks about us narrowing it down.
Yep.
What do you guys think?
Yes.
Did you get all that, Catherine?
you all set? Okay,
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 7th, 2012 as corrected.
second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we move the minutes of November 29th to the floor for approval.
Okay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's New Hampshire DES under Jennifer Motz, and you have an M there.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, we gotta talk about the Christmas party. That's, you write that down or I'll forget.
On page 2, down at the last paragraph where it says, Chair Constantino read a letter from Cinder and Judy Sanders asking to have clean, slightly used collectors. We've got coats in there.
Okay. It was in my mind, it just didn't come out.
on page 8. Down near the bottom, Bob Hardy asked, now that the park is owned, blah, 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 it will eventually overgrow its site, move off the end. Same paragraph, last sentence, informed Bob that she would bring this to the selectmen for discussion. Page 9, second paragraph, Selectman Lesnar announced, put a D on the end of announced.
Did you know I'm Emmy Dexter?
That was- Nope, nope, we did not, but that's getting close. Oh, I don't even remember when it is.
Free
Say
to
the
do.
15th.
I remember those things because it's candy time. Is that, yeah, are there any more corrections, additions, or concerns? Oh, my mouth got twisted a little bit there.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of November 29th, 2012 as corrected.
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, the Christmas party, we have, we sent over a, menu. And we have last year's menu. The one thing that he's not able to do is the, shrimp. It's not cost effective. You can't heat, it's cost prohibitive, I should say.
Oh,
And,
so
because of the oil spill in the Gulf.
Yes.
Right.
Shrimp is way down in the
Wow.
Gulf area.
Must
all
be
coming
on
from
Oh,
Thailand.
boy, did somebody lie. Really?
Yeah, it's sky high everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
The shrimps that are coming out of, shrimp now, it's coming out of Thailand,
they're farmed.
Vietnam, and it's not quite the same, and
So, we have a couple of other ideas that, I'll just pass this down. Catherine and I circled a couple of things, but I think if we gave him our budget and said this is how many people, perhaps we could leave that up to Catherine to come up with a nice
Yeah,
venue of menus if you want.
I think that's
I think it,
we don't eat
we know what's gonna happen.
half of it.
right.
But a nice big bowl of hummus.
Yeah.
I'm all about them.
35
I
for,
love hummus.
Extra tahini.
well, there's an eggplant roll in there that's to die for, I'll tell you
I
right
love
now.
that.
Open that up, open the
You
menu
want
up.
to eat,
I get a hot fish chowder soup.
No,
we're taking
I
that
want
out.
that.
bacon
No.
wrapped bacon.
Where I
Yeah.
start over there.
Actually, I could go for some
And then,
scallops.
see where I
and
start,
whatnot.
read that.
What, bruschetta?
No, that does sound good.
So,
I'm
eggplant,
good.
Catherine,
Vegetarian
eggplant,
shepherd's pie.
eggplant.
Definitely.
Okay, and the Christmas parade is
December 15th.
at 2 p.m. at the school for those that are in the parade,
And the parade will
And for-
start at 3.
3, and then festivities are afterwards at Riverfront Park.
Yep, and I believe the fireworks are at 6.
6? Okay.
I believe
Ish.
so.
And if the people ask from the park commission, I've made arrangements for the tables to be in the kitchen when we get
Very nice.
And
They're meeting Monday night.
there. I may not be there, but.
also, we got a call from the new representatives in surrounding towns asking if they could be a part of the parade.
You know, I'm okay with that, as long as we don't have campaign posters.
They want to be a part of the
I would
community.
love to have them be part
They're
of the
already
community.
elected, it's no longer campaigning, so I think
Oh,
it's
trust
okay.
me, some of them are always campaigning.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
well.
Ian and, the one in, what's his name?
Oh, the Franklin side?
Lee
Oh,
Webb?
he's a very nice man. What is his
Lee
name?
Webb,
Lee, yes, that's it, Lee
Yes.
Webb,
yeah,
yes.
Yes.
been working with him at the children's auction.
But, and then he would love to do that. So maybe we can get back in touch with him and say, yeah, let's get in touch with, Ian.
I just got
Two
an
of them
email
can-
from Jeannie Forrester reminding us if we want to have any type of discussion with her or our other general court representatives, their deadline is December 20th. So she says that we should meet the week of the 10th if anyone has any issues with pending legislation for
Is
this.
she coming in,
She's coming in January 10th, I believe.
She's saying-
Second week of January is when she could make it.
you're saying we should come in before then, right?
Well, I don't know if she can, and she says,
She
she
said
says
she
in here, I can try to come to Tilton before then, but I'm saying if anybody wants to contact her about any pending legislation, they should do it before the 20th.
I don't know if
Her
we can do
calendar
it
was
with
filled in
yours.
December when I talked to her secretary, so that's why she booked.
We have her booked for a week in January to come here.
That would be too late to discuss with her.
Right.
So I'm just saying, email her or contact her directly.
See if we can get her in soon. There is legislation now that, I do know that the SCOA
David,
is,
that's, how does that, oh, I thought you were bringing it, I'm sorry.
I do know that SCOA, the state council
Come up with, I'm good. I'm good.
on aging, is very concerned about
It's more
the
big.
bill that has reared its head again this year, is limiting the
What was your?
age for
Seem to think that.
testing seniors for licensing again, has come up for driving.
What's the bill?
I don't know what the bill number is.
Some of them need to be tested,
It's not a question of, it's taking away the, yes, it does, but also some of the younger ones need to be retested.
Work that out.
So it's an age discrimination type of thing.
My dad got a driver's license when he was 79, that was good for 10 years. Man couldn't see the TV from across the road. How he got a driver's license, I don't know, it wasn't in the state of New Hampshire, but some of these older drivers just get,
If you look at the
Ooh, I mean-
statistics, if you look at the statistics of what accidents and how accidents are happening and the age group in which accidents are happening, it's not the seniors.
you know, they're 16-year-olds and 18-year-olds and
And yet,
17-year-olds.
they're the ones that are being,
Because
So are
they're
we suggesting
typically,
that they shouldn't be tested just because they're old?
no, there's,
Well, there's gotta be some criteria.
they're
for this.
suggesting a resolution to it rather than,
Good enough.
right.
Good enough.
and you don't know the bill number?
No, but I can get that because they were supposed to send it to us. They didn't have it, the legislator that represents SCOA on the board with us did not have that information at the time, Monday, when we met. But he was going to get back to us with it.
Do you,
I wanted to talk to you.
say, because you can search for a bill by text, but you wanna find a word that's, you know,
It's,
predominant. Does it mention seniors, elderly?
It's,
How does it classify this?
driver, I believe it's driver retesting age requirement.
Really gonna bumble?
Yes.
I just want to set something up and then not be there.
Okay, I will make a motion to go into, is there any more business to come before us in a public session? Okay. Make a motion to go into non-public as per RSA 91A:3, personnel.
Second?
Aye.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Go with that.
I don't care anything again, but I would like to make a motion that we seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to personnel permanently and as they pertain to the reputation of people in the neighborhood permanently, and
That's it.
that's it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Al?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Yes?
Happy.
Another exciting meeting here. I'm sorry you weren't here.